What's going on, everybody? Welcome to this week's edition of the UGA Postgame Overreaction show. I'm your host, Paul Meharry, joined alongside Jason Butt for a 31-13 Georgia Bulldog victory over the Auburn Tigers in Athens. Georgia bounces back from Alabama. Alabama then bounces down to Vandy. We'll touch on all that. Jason, as we do every show, but before we do it, real quick, if it's your first time watching us, we appreciate you. If you're watching it for the 50th time in a row, we also appreciate you just as much. Hit that like button. It helps us a ton. And then also give it to share it to a couple of your friends. Helps us out. And your questions, comments, concerns in the chat help this move along. And then if you feel so inclined, Jason, if they feel inclined, there is a join button in the YouTube comment section in the description. You can come join us. And we'll talk about this Georgia-Auburn game, Alabama-Vandy game, anything you want to talk about, Jason. But as we do with everybody that comes on the show, your instant reaction, instant analysis, if you will, to this game.
I mean, do we have to do the Georgia game?
Yeah, I think we have to. We have
to do the Georgia game first. All right, we will. Just solid. Nothing great, nothing terrible. I think this is a work in progress. There was a point, I think, the last couple of years where Georgia was a work in progress type of team. The last time, or I should say 2 years ago, when it was the 2022 season, Georgia escaped Missouri. I remember thinking, work in progress. Hey, they got to get some stuff together. It is not like they were in 21. And then they started rolling after that. They were able to get it together. I believe they had the Auburn game that wasn't everything. I can't remember if that was 21 or 22. Whatever it was, they got it going, and then they started playing much better late in the season. That's what you have to hope for with this group. It's crazy because I think early on you were thinking this defense is elite. Right now they're somewhere around, hovering around great. They're not elite at the time being. I think Auburn, they left a lot of plays on the field there today. Definitely, they got held to 13 points, but there were a lot of opportunities that Auburn could have capitalized that they didn't. The offense, in addition, they were a little more consistent, but at the same time, just the lack of explosives, I think, especially in that first half. They scored on the first drive, and then they went dormant until the last drive of the first half. So they still got to get things going. The good news is they get a game against Mississippi State, and then they get Texas. So you get one more game to kind of tune things up for Kirby to get, do whatever he's got to do to get him ready for Texas in 2 weeks. But here's the thing. We'll obviously we'll come back and talk a little bit about what just happened to Alabama. Georgia's got the best coach in the United States, in these United States of America. Georgia's got the best head coach. So if you're going to have a team right now that's still finding its way, and that's really what they are. They're finding their way right now. I don't think any of us thought that at this point of the season they would be in that kind of position. However, the better coaches are able to get them going, to figure out how to piece together, to motivate them. The stuff that Nick Saban used to do at Alabama, which, that what just happened there doesn't happen under Nick Saban. It doesn't happen under Kirby Smart. The good news is you have a good head coach with this program. The not so great news is they're not playing up to what I think most people expected them to be at this stage of the season. It doesn't mean it's a lost cause. I don't want that to be construed as this doom and gloom negativity. It's just the reality of the situation right now.
Yeah, I think I see Andrew. I'm about to bring you on in just a second, brother. I think with this team, like you said, I think that we thought this team was going to be a lot more polished than they are right now. Then there's not to say that you can't put more polish on this team and shine it into a winner, right? And they win the whole thing. We saw what just happened to, like we said, Bama to Vandy. This is a weird season, Jason, and I don't know if there's going to be anybody that really steps out ahead of the pack. We thought it could be Bama. They just slipped up against, Vanderbilt and Georgia, 31-13. I think they did a pretty decent job on the defensive side of the ball. There was a couple missed tackles, lots of yards after contact, I feel like, once we break it down and get into it, for, Hunter and those guys. But it was good to see Nate Frazier back out there. It was good to see London Humphreys. Both of those guys are game changer type players for Georgia. And we didn't see either one, obviously, last week, one being injured with mono, and then the other one not playing in Frazier. So having those guys back out there, I think that they can kind of help you move this game along. Beck's he moved the ball to a lot of guys. He had a lot of dump offs to ETN, his highest pass catcher, 6 receptions was ETN for 36 yards. Colby Young, once again, 3 for 51. I think he's a guy that you lean on, as you go down this stretch. Him, Humphreys, Lawson Luck. I mean, there's a lot of playmakers. It's just who's going to kind of step up right here is where we're still. I don't know if we thought Georgia would be 4-1 at this point and kind of lack an identity, if you will, on the offensive side of the ball. There hasn't been a game that's really stood out and said, okay, this is the identity and this is what they want to be. They've had games where they've thrown the ball for 50 times against Bama, and they've had games where ETNs really look really good, 88 yards today. Which is the offense, and how does it go is, I think, the biggest question.
I mean, right now, I don't know. I mean, there's nothing that really stands out. ETN's your best player on offense. I guess that's the best way to put it. But at the same time, the offensive line, I think we all thought that would be this tremendous strength, and it really hasn't been there. You're not getting the kind of ground game that we're used to seeing maybe 2, 3, 4 seasons ago, where it was whatever Georgia wanted to get, they got. And I feel like ETN, so much of his is making a guy miss, where in years past, those guys weren't there to miss because there was a hat on a hat, and the holes were opening up, and you had first, second, third string running backs, just the rotation going, guys moving through. So that part's been a bit of a disappointment, just the play up front in particular. But then you see ETN, man, he is dynamic. He might, I don't know, overreaction. Is he better than his brother? I don't know.
I think he might be.
He might be. He looks better than his brother. I mean, this is college, obviously, and his brother.
Is he the second best running back in the nation, behind Ginty at Boise State? There's an overreaction.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and the thing is, but that's the thing. Like, he's not getting the help that I think we thought he would.
The O-line is not helping him at all.
They're not helping him, and then he's out there just making guys miss. The cuts are phenomenal, so you see why. You go back to, I know there was some criticism about Nate Frazier not playing last week, and it's obvious to see why. ETN is we were blinded by the fact that, and I'll be the first to admit it, we were blinded by the fact that ETN didn't play week 1, and so we saw Nate Frazier play. ETN's hands down a better running back, whole package. And last week, the game got away from the game script that would have a Nate Frazier type guy playing, because he obviously can't pass protect. And that's why you didn't see the guy play. Frazier got a couple opportunities today. ETN's hands, I mean, he's one of the best running backs in the country. And he would have the stats if he had the line that could really help own a game and own the line of scrimmage in the way that we're used to seeing. So I think you add that Carson Beck's got a lot of number 2s out there. I mean, the receiving core reminds me of the 2012 season with Aaron Murray, where he had Malcolm Mitchell, he had Chris Conley, he had Michael Bennett, guys who were number 2 receivers. And that's not to say that they were bad. I mean, Conley and Mitchell went on to
pretty long careers. Yeah.
Well, Mitchell would have.
Well, Mitchell was cut short, but Conley popped up on a team like 2 years ago randomly. So he's been around.
Conley's on the Niners right now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, he's been around.
Yeah, so, but like that's this group. You got guys who I think Dylan Bell is going to be an NFL player. You've got. I mean, I'm not. London Humphreys, I think, has a shot down the road. You got guys on this roster who have shots to be rotational receivers in the NFL. You don't have a number 1. You don't have Brock Bowers. You don't have Ladd McConkey. So that Carson Beck's missing that. So you don't have the aerial attack like you did, where you can throw it up. You have a guy who can run a dynamic route. You have guys who are going to get the ball, who are going to demand the ball on when you need it the most. And so they're missing those guys on the offensive line and at receiver, tight end, and that's really kind of messing this identity up to where I think right now, this is the summation of it all, is you just have to do your best to take what the defense is giving you. And that's really where this offense is at this point, until they can develop some of these guys to maybe become something more than they are. It's not what we thought. I think we thought that they would be able to lean on the run game and open up the pass, play action, etc. It's just not there yet.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there. Georgia, again, 31-13 victors over Auburn. 5 rushers combined for 37 attempts, 141 yards, 2 touchdowns from ETN, 3.8 yards per carry, Jason. And then 23 receptions hauled in by 9 different receivers for 240 yards, 2 touchdowns, and longest being that 33-yard pass to Lawson Lucky. Let's bring on Andrew Butts here. Andrew, what's going on, man?
What's up, guys? Glad to be back.
Yeah, man. Glad to have you back. What where are you at with this team right now? I feel like there's a little bit of a haze hanging over them. There's something going on that we're not just seeing because I'll be honest with you, Andrew. I don't think Auburn's a good football team. And I cannot wait till after the show to watch the Hugh Freeze press conference because he might leave Peyton Thorne in Athens. He might just say, "You're not getting back on the bus."
That dude loves to blame everybody but himself.
He does. He does. It's crazy.
Like on one of the well, anyways, we'll get to that. But yeah, I don't know what that first half. I was sitting there with obviously not the same feeling as the Alabama game, but like when especially after the to go down the field and score, and then to kind of stub your toe. I mean, to watch Carson take a sack when they're rushing 3 down linemen. I mean, Bobo like blew a block, but still, it's just like. It just felt like a bad dream starting over again, especially after they came out and scored in the that first drive in the second half. But I agree with you. I don't know what the identity is. I hope it's run the football. I hope we get more of that. But I mean, this is the overreaction show, so that's how I feel so far. I'm glad we have Mississippi State before Texas.
I agree. I think that's a game, which I thought this game, actually, I predicted on UGA Sports 45-7. I think, Jason, you were kind of close with me there too, weren't you? You were right around that number.
For this game, I had him covering. I don't think I had 31. I think I might have had more. I can't even remember.
I think you had like 45-6.
My brain's been messed up.
You had 45-6. I think I had 45-7. We were like spot on close to each other. And I really thought this was going to be a runaway game for Georgia. I didn't think Auburn was that good. I still don't think they're that great. We'll look at their schedule a little later, but I doubt they become bowl eligible at this point. They're 2-4. I mean, they're a sinking ship, if you will, over there in Auburn right now. And Hugh Freeze is just going to continue to throw the blame game on his players and hope that he can bring in some other guys. So, like I said, 31-13. Georgia scored in every quarter, though. They did score a first quarter touchdown for the first time all season, Andrew. So there's some progress, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of, I was like, I thought for sure after the performance last week, I mean, I didn't bet, I didn't put anything in writing on what the score was going to be, but I just was like, man, I would hate to be Hugh Freeze in Auburn because you just thought that they were going to come out and lay the wood to them.
Oh, yeah.
And which it kind of started like that. And then Hunter just got going running the ball, and it was like there was no rush defense or anything. It was just wide open holes. I mean, I know that that kid's a good running back too.
He is.
That kid on a lot of other SEC teams makes a lot of other football teams really good. Mm-hmm. But still, I mean, it goes back to like what Roddy's been saying with missed tackles, like Aguero going high on Hunter on that drive. Like that's just bad, man. There's no way that's what Kirby Smart and those guys are teaching in practice.
Well, they should know that by this point. You're recruited at this level. You're taught those fundamentals. I mean, all the way back to middle school.
Yeah, he's like jumping on his shoulders, and they were raving about how he squats 700 pounds. I was like, if he squats 700 pounds, tackle him on the neck is not the way to go, man.
No, you're gonna lose that battle every time.
Yeah. So I mean, it was good to see. I thought Carson. I mean, those throws over the middle. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious that Landon Humphreys is very useful getting open over the middle. I mean. Maybe
Carson's best throw was the third down throw to Humphreys over the middle. Yeah. And McElroy said it during the broadcast. He was like, "That's the Carson Beck that was the first round talent. That is him." And he hit it right on a tee. Like I couldn't have said it any better. I was literally thinking it as McElroy was saying it. Like that's the throw right there that Carson Beck makes and made last year to where we looked at it this year and said, he's probably the number 1 quarterback coming off the board. He has it in him.
100%.
It's not as I don't know. It doesn't look as fluid this year as it did last year for him. So
a question to you guys. I was thinking about this. Like, I mean, with all the NIL deals, like he's another guy. He's one of 3 guys that has a private jet. It's him, Ewers, and Dart that have the private jet deal, and he's got the Instagram and TikTok girlfriend and all the hype. It's like, does it sit on him? It kind of seems like it is. Like last year, there was really no expectation for him besides you're coming in to try to do, to back up what Stetson did, and he just played. I mean, like, granted, you have the safety valves of Ladd and those guys and Brock, but now, like, there's just some throws you watch him throw, and it's just like he's scared to make that mistake. Like the ball to Delp down the sideline on the play action in fourth quarter. I just feel like you just got to lead that. It's got to be Delp or nobody, and he just kind of underthrows it to the front side shoulder. And I don't know. It's like he plays a little bit scared until the moment it gets big, and then he makes it. But I want to see him make those big throws in the first half.
Yeah, I mean, if I don't want to be somebody who pretends to know what's going on in his head, but I think if you don't trust guys, you tend to play it safe or kind of go to. I mean, you had Ladd McConkey and Brock Bowers. You could just throw the ball up to Brock, and if there really wasn't a spot that you could throw the ball to Brock, that hey, if it's 1-on-1 and he's not going to get it, the defender's not going to get it. It's right. Something like that. I just think there might be a trust issue, especially with the tight ends. I think Lawson Lucky's your best receiving tight end. Anyway.
That ball Lawson almost came down with too. I was like,
oh yeah. Well, but even then, that was a pretty dangerous ball to throw.
It was, yeah.
I think, Jason, to your point, to back up your point, the trust issues, dumping it down to ETN 6 times instead of looking downfield it speaks to what you just said.
And we're not. I would love to see what Brent Rollins has to say later, because we watch the game live on TV. We're not really seeing how deep the safeties are dropping and all that. And I don't want to try and pretend like I'm Brent or super into it. But what you're seeing, I do know what you're seeing in the NFL, which the NFL always trickles down to college, and even vice versa for that matter, is that you're seeing less explosives, especially in the pro game, because teams are just saying, you know what, we're going too high now. And it felt like I felt like Georgia today, it was the methodical drives. It was coming underneath. It was like you said, checking down, given what the defense is going to, or taking what the defense is going to give you. I'd have to imagine a lot of that is by design. You don't want Arian Smith getting past you deep. You don't want to lose sight of Dylan Bell. You don't want some of these really talented Georgia guys who might not be a George Pickens type, but still right. Guys with some speed, London Humphreys too, who can get behind you. And so you're seeing a lot more of that. The more plays you can force an offense to make, the more chances that they might screw up. I think there's a lot of thinking in that. Hey, gone are the days where you're going to hold a good team under 300 yards. So, hey, you're going to give up yards, just hold them to field goals and try to prevent as many touchdowns as possible.
And to your point, Jason, like what you were talking about, is I do think they are. I think they're running too high safeties, just saying, Beck, you're going to have to dink and dunk and beat me. But it was fun. Like, it almost seems like Beck's best ball, like when we need a play is, and they that first pass to Landon over the middle, they run Dom to like a 7 corner route to run that backside safety off, and then just run Humphreys under the dig. And that seems to be his best throw. Like there's gotta be, Dylan's got to run that route. Landon's obviously that guy. Ladd did that a ton. Mm-hmm. And so I hope if that's what he's comfortable in, then we got to find more of that to draw them up. And then maybe the over the top to Arian, or I thought Colby, that catch down the sideline for Colby was awesome. Yeah. Every time I see the 3rd and short jump ball down the sideline, I hold my breath. But then when it's to Colby, it's a little bit better. But when we're throwing jump balls to Dom in the Alabama game, I'm like, what are we doing? Oh, yeah. So, but I like that throw across the middle when you drag those safeties deep and they just run that, deep crosser. And he seems to throw that ball well too.
That's his best ball by far.
100%.
Andrew, I don't want to cut you off, man. You're a great guest, but I got some other folks waiting here.
100%,
so
guys.
We appreciate you, brother. We appreciate you for sure.
All right, go Dogs.
Hey man, take it easy.
Take care.
All right, we got another one here, Jason. Can you see backstage or no?
I can't at the moment.
Oh, okay.
I lost my login.
There he is.
That's our dude, it's Spano?
That's Spano, yeah.
Oh, bitches!
Another mask, another week for Spano with another
We're
mask.
getting to Halloween, so I get it.
We are.
It's
how many of those do you have?
Don't worry about it. It's not Halloween yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
What'd you think about this team, this game, this overall everything? What you got?
We're starting too slow. Defense is doing their job against a shitty team, but I don't know. it's aggravating. I mean, we have more firepower on the roster than we're showing.
Yeah.
And I was watching the game. I was in the golf cart with a buddy of mine that was watching Virginia Tech, and we both had our phones going. Shout out Aiden. What up, dog?
There he is.
And I'm like, Jesus, man. Why can't we start faster? We got the firepower. We're at home. We're playing Auburn, who coincidentally has beaten Alabama more times than we have. We've beaten Alabama almost as many times as Vanderbilt has.
Mm.
Well, yeah, in the past 5 years, yeah, that exactly how many times Vanderbilt has.
Correct.
Yeah. But I just don't get it. We've got every piece in position, but we just can't hit on the plays we want to. If Kirby says we want to keep starting fast, then play to the strengths. So
okay, so let me ask you this, Spano. You just said play the strengths. What are the strengths of this offense? There's strengths. I'm not saying there's not. But what is the main strength of this offense after 5 games?
I honestly don't know. I don't know. There's receivers missing wide open passes. There are ridiculous amount of blown assignments in the run game, especially on the edges. Yeah. Whether it's wide receivers, whether it's tight ends. I don't know what it is, but my God, why do you recruit these high caliber players just to shit the bed every time?
Well, I think that's the problem. I mean, if you don't know, then I don't know if the coaches know.
Well, I shouldn't know, Jason. I just know your hair needs to get on my level.
It takes time, man. I'm trying.
This is a year, baby, by the way, from shaved. So that is not a year.
Okay, no, I've been getting it trimmed here and there.
Yeah, I trim it with nail clippers. So, but no. To be completely honest, I don't know what the identity of the team is, because we threw it 53 times last week.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And how many times we throw it today?
29. You completed 23 of them.
I know. It's just
something's not clicking. Something feels like it's just not clicking, and we're wondering what that could be.
Right. Well, I don't know. All I know is we haven't lost to Vanderbilt yet, but we get them at home, so maybe we have a chance.
Do they play Vandy this year? I don't think they do.
No, I'm kidding. That was a joke.
I was gonna say they don't have.
We're gonna play the second best team in Tennessee this year at home.
Oh, I see.
Jeez.
I see.
Jeez.
Too soon? Was that too soon?
No. I don't think it is.
Never.
As always, man, thank you for coming on and enriching our souls.
Hey, I love you guys. Everybody hit like and subscribe. Best overreaction show and best Georgia content on the planet. Paul, Jason, you guys are my fucking rocks, dude.
Hey, we love you, Spano. We'll see you next week, brother. That's the man right there. And Jason, I know you can't see backstage. I'm about to bring on JC. Foster Moss. I saw Foster Moss's face. He called in. Foster called in. He did. He didn't stay. I'm going to be pissed off if he doesn't call back. And he's never called into any shows. And he called in. I saw his face. I almost took Spano right off to put Foster on. I saw him. He's a real person. So is this guy.
Okay.
Oh, Jordan.
Hey, what up,
Jordan. What'd I do?
You doing all right? Can you hear me?
Man, I've been better, been worse, but sorry we couldn't get you last week, man. I tried, and that's on me.
It's all good. No, I was sitting there. I was like fighting to stay awake for it. And I was like, I got to go to bed. This is too much.
Yeah, I was the last hour of the show, man. I think I said maybe 10 words. I was exhausted.
I'm too old for these late games, man.
Man, I'm getting there, brother. I'm getting there. 2 kids,
well,
16 months.
It was a little more than just age. It was a lot of up and down for that last one.
Well, that's it.
Well, that and Jordan probably, 18, 19 beers?
Yeah.
Last week?
Well, that too. There was some bourbon. There was some Angels MV pools. Like I was sending it up to the Angels for that.
Yeah. Some Angels in the outfield. It can happen.
Dude, last week I was literally like my buddies. I was texting them, and I wasn't giving up. I had people texting me like, "Stop tweeting that we're coming back." I was like, "I'm not gonna do it. We're coming back." But that's last week. We're gonna move
It is last week. This is a new week. Where are you at with this? Where are you at with this team, Jordan? Your internet's shaky in that $1 million home that you have there, Jordan. You got him, Jason, or no? Is it?
You good?
Both of us.
Got you now.
Hey, go back inside, Jordan. I'm gonna get rid of you for a second. Go back inside because your face is just stuck right there. Eddie from Ackworth says Foster isn't real. I 100% saw him. He's a real person.
He's
Foster
real.
Moss is real. He is very real. So is this guy. He's a real guy. He's a real man.
Vandy.
Roddy, you missed it. You missed it. Spano was on. I'm not lying to you. Hand to the Bible. Foster Moss showed up in backstage. He showed up, then he left. He's a real person, though.
Hey, he came on our show and gave us a super chat. So, it's, you know.
So his money's real, too.
Also, dude, we have some great supporters in our side over there. So I see Goat Dogs here, Tom Red.
Goat Dogs here, Trevor's here.
Trevor, yeah.
ESA,
KC,
Will
been a huge supporter of
Benson, DDB's here, KC. I mean, we got everybody. The crew's here.
So what you want to talk about?
I mean, you missed. I'm sure you didn't listen to us on the way home. You probably listened to like some country or something like that, some Willie Nelson. But
I can see it.
I can see it. I can see it. You know, I think what Jason and I came to the conclusion of is there's something that's just, it feels like it's not clicking on this team. Yes, you won by 18. I don't think Auburn is a very good football team, though, and they're going to continue to spiral. But I just feel like something's not clicking, Roddy. And Ledge, I guess.
Yeah, we were trying to put our finger on it. We're like, what is this team missing? And Dane, you know how hip Dane is. He's like, you know, Mr. Urban Dictionary. He's like,
right.
It's juice. They're missing the juice. And I'm like, okay, you know. He's not exactly ball up top guy, you know.
You let you turn around. Oh, all right, yeah.
But I'm like, okay, yeah. And he's right. 1st and 40.
That was, and I'm not saying that it mattered to some people, but it mattered to some, Jason. It mattered to some.
But my point is, you get the ball, you want to start fast, you zip right down the field, you score. Okay. And again, with your starting center out, your starting right guards out, your starting inside linebackers out. Mikael Williams is on a pitch count.
Mikael's hobbling around the field.
I saw him limping. I mean, but I'm not trying to make excuses. I'm just saying, facts are facts. There's no moral victory or anything like that. Just you're not at 100%. You move down the field. It's like, okay, then you have some dumb penalties and some mistakes, and you're supposed to get to the edge again. You've worked on this all week. You know, your 5 technique squeezes, and your inside linebacker comes on the inside of him when he has outside. He's supposed to surf. You know. Scrape down the edge, get outside contained, and you get blocked to the inside. And I'm like, okay, then you have a touchdown called back. You know, people are like, well, we didn't score enough in the first half. Well, you had a touchdown called back on a penalty, and then you convert a big. You know, you're looking at 1st and 10. You know, on their side of the field, and you have back-to-back 15-yard penalties. Stupid. You know, you stop them on 3rd down, and they call hands to the face on Chaz Chambliss. You know, and like they just called it.
It was
again, but he shouldn't do that. And I get the guy. I said on the show he had a sweaty neck, and you're getting on him, and your hands slide up. It happens. But my point is, for what you said, something's missing. When have you seen this defense just kicking ass and taking names and just blowing people up and just
there's missed tackles, there's yards after contact. I mean, it's
pass interference.
It's just something feels off with this team. And yes, they're winning. They won by 18 against Auburn. Again, Auburn's not making a bowl this year, guys. They're
a lot better than people give them credit for.
They're not a good team.
I'm not saying they're a great team. I'm just saying this is a team that turns the ball over way too much.
And they didn't turn it over today against Georgia at all.
And I asked Coach before the game started, I said, what is this team if they don't turn it over? Kirby says they're 5-0 if they don't turn it over, which
negative.
No, I'll give them one more win, but it's complete difference when you hold on to the ball. If you look at how many turnovers they had, they were -11. Florida was next at -4. Everybody else is either 0 like
Minus
Georgia
11
or
is crazy.
+3, +5, +7, +11. Everyone else is positive territory in turnovers. There's only 2 teams negative turnovers, and Auburn's one of them. So, yeah, they do screw up with that. But I'm like, if they don't, they move up and down the field, which they did. And you held them to, score in the first half, and then you gave up. They gashed you on some runs. They gashed you on some passes. You had their quarterback hemmed in multiple times, and you didn't drop him. Should have been 8, 9 sacks today. There should have been guys making money today, and they didn't do it. Offensively, drop passes, a couple inaccurate passes, but I thought Carson Beck had a pretty good day. Missed blocks. You had 2 sacks with 3-man pressures. A 3-man pressure should give Carson Beck 47 days to throw the ball.
Yeah.
It's sacked twice. So you're right. Something is missing. And I'll posit this to you. We said it last week, and I think I want to make something more out of it. Everyone's saying this team's not as good as they were last year. Well, that's fair. They lost a lot of talent to the NFL. They brought in some new guys, but they're capable of being as good as they were last year. They've shown flashes of it, but they haven't done it consistently. And Kirby Smart, when they asked him, he walks onto the field, what do you want to do, Kirby? And he's like, well, I want to start fast and I want to play consistently. And it sounds like coach speak, but he needs to start fast and he needs to play consistent. If they play consistent football and complementary football, they're tough to beat. But when they play inconsistently, they can't get off the field. They can't move the ball. They just look like you said, something's missing. So let me ask you this, Jason. Where's Georgia better? And I see Jordan and on there and John and Mr. Fowler. Where's Georgia better position-wise this year than they were last year? I posit at quarterback. At running back.
Yeah,
I'm not really thinking,
but yeah, we talked about this a little bit last week, and I don't know, and I'll one up and I'll bring up the point. I think that I think it was you who brought it up last week as well. Is there and I put this in the what just happened column on UGAsports.com right now. Is there a player leadership issue on this roster at this present time?
Ooh.
Because they don't. All right, Dane said juice. We're saying they're just not there. They're a work in progress. That was how I opened the ship. They're a work in progress right now. And they're doing things that you didn't see the past, 2, 3, 4 years on the field. I think, one, not finishing sacks, not turning teams over.
Not finishing routes.
Penalties and really terrible situations. Usually that comes down to undisciplined. Usually that's checking each other. Kirby, especially back in my days as a beat writer, I can recall one of the big things that he was with his team was he was big on the leaders holding others accountable. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I'm not there every day anymore. But I think it's something worth thinking about. Do they have those same checks that those championship teams did at this stage? And if not, how do you develop that over the course of the rest of the season to ensure that those intangible type things can start showing up to ensure that your talented playmakers. I think, no, they might not be as good as they were last year, position by position at a lot of places. Offensive line, no, not now. Receiver, no. Tight end, definitely not. Then you look at the defense, linebacker, maybe that could be it. Defensive back, safety, toss up. I don't know. Maybe probably not at corner. So, are they missing that intangible ingredient that has made them so special over the last few years?
Yeah. So I posit they're missing experience because you have some new faces out there. You're missing that playmaker on offense and defense. Even Malachi's not, the playmaker. Not so far hasn't been
that has been very surprising to me.
Yeah,
he's fallen on draft.
Michael's not a leader. He's going to be a huge top draft pick, but he's not a leader. Carson Beck is a leader by default, but it was Cedric Van Pran last year that was the accountability guy. They're missing who's there to call them out when your Janelle Aguero absolutely whiffs on a tackle, which they convert into either a touchdown or a first down.
That was a touchdown. He tackled high and
that's on you. You would see an Eric Stokes getting the guy's face like that and just light him up. Quay Walker, Roquan Smith, those guys would chew each other out. And I'm not expecting. I'm just saying so you have very talented athletes who are a little inexperienced, it's a new era, and I just don't see the leadership or the juice or that cohesiveness that you're talking about. And I think it's very fair. And I do think that Ladd McConkey and Brock Bowers they covered up a lot of cracks that you didn't see. We're seeing them this year. They can be fixed. I mean, again, this team is ridiculously capable, but it doesn't feel like they're all pulling the same way. They're not playing that complementary football. It's something you can't force through practice, which is, Kirby's, hey, we're going to work on perimeter blocking. Well, if it's not there, it's not there. We're going to work on setting the edge. It's not there, it's not there. You can practice it 1,000 times, but until somebody does it, it'll drive you crazy. So I'm with you there. I just don't think they have great players, but they don't have elite ones. Look, I'll sum it up this way, and then we can bring on somebody else. Last year, when it was 3rd and 7, when we're doing the watch along, we would say, throw it to 19, throw it to 84. It's 3rd and 7. What are you calling? Who's going to bail your ass out?
Yeah.
And again, I'm not ripping on them. I'm happy. You see, I'm 4-1. I'm like, you saw Alabama learn today. Welcome to the SEC, Kalen DeBoer. You got to win them all.
Yep.
You're excited. Hey, Georgia handed you that game with 4 turnovers and a safety, and you barely won it. And Alabama's out there pounding their damn chest like, they beat Georgia on its best day. You beat Georgia on their worst day, and it took a fucking miracle for you to do it.
I would like to say Jason last week said Kalen DeBoer not as good as advertised. Here's your flowers, Jason.
Yes, thank you. It was funny because in the second half of last week, I was like, my thoughts are validated, and Alabama just won, and that is a very strange feeling because I thought Kalen DeBoer Georgia did everything to lose the game, and Kalen DeBoer tried to hand it right back to Georgia with the way he managed that fourth quarter. And then you look today, Nick Saban, Kirby Smart, these great coaches, even Ryan Day for that matter at Ohio State, Jim Harbaugh when he was coaching in college, all the ones that you think of as great coaches, they don't do what Alabama just did today. Their players are ready. They have them ready to go. And that's a very, very big rude awakening for Kalen DeBoer. Yeah. And I think going back to what you said, and we were talking about leadership, we're talking about all these things. If you're Georgia, though, and if you're a Georgia fan watching this going, what in the world? Like, I don't know what to think right now. Like, one, I don't think most people are thinking doom and gloom. I mean, you're 4-1 and you've got Mississippi State coming up. You should be 5-1 next week, after next week. But the good thing about it is you've got the best coach currently in college football, who the trajectory year after year has shown that as the season moves along, the trajectory is that they get better. The teams get better as the season goes on. Remember last year, Nick Saban, they had the South Florida game. People thought they were done. They benched Milroe. They bring Milroe back. They got better. The good coaches get their teams trending better when it's most necessary to play. And then and you have a 12-team playoff this year. There's nothing to be overly just like worried like the world is over or anything like that. But I think that in this moment in time, of course, and especially on a show titled the Postgame Overreaction Show, it is fair to wonder, why aren't things going the way we expected them to? And I think it's okay to step back, kind of analyze it, but then also know on the back end, you do have a coach who has a track record of fixing these problems and making their teams better toward the end of the season.
Well, that's kind of my point. Is like, hey, you just beat Auburn Kirby's 9-1 against them. That's brilliant. I'll take that every day of the week. You've won 27 home games in a row. It's hard to defend your home turf, And again, I'm not trying to say I get that there are issues with the team, but I'm saying you have the track record of showing that you are the team to beat, and you just saw that. Right now, I would put it this way: Georgia is a alcohol-based. I'm looking at Georgia through my beer goggles. She's a 7, maybe an 8.
Yeah.
When I put that down, she's 6.5, she's a 7. But if we go out again, she's probably she could be by the end of the night or by the end of the year, end of the season, she's 9 or 10.
Right. You keep working on her.
She gets her hair done a different way,
right,
a little filler,
right.
a little new makeup, very nice perfume, and all of a sudden she's a knockout. She's the art girl that wears the big glasses, but then she goes to homecoming and she gets the makeover before the big dance, and it's like, wow, we knew she was hot all along. That's where they are right now. They're going to be there. So I'm liking the fact that even though when you don't have the juice. You don't have those intangibles. Kirby's always going off about the intangibles. Their intangibles aren't there. Their leadership isn't there. There's no identity. You don't know what Georgia's going to do. And don't give me that they're predictable. They're not. Anybody, if you can predict pass run, congratulations. I can do that with down and distance at about a 90% clip. But if you can't tell me what they're going to run or who they're going to throw to, then I don't want to hear it. They do have that capability of getting there. And even when you're not good, you're still winning games. And you should have won that Alabama game. You gave it away. You're going to beat Mississippi State. I'm curious how they're going to finish out the rest of them. But I know we got some other people we want to bring on, so y'all don't want to hear me talk.
Goat Dog said she's just in between checks right now. She'll be all right. She's just.
Hey, wait! Before you bring somebody on, let me do this real quick. I want to add to the screen real quick our buddies at Benton and Benton Law Firm. They're in Monroe. I know they're Paul Maharry's favorite folks in the world because he grew up in Monroe and he actually knows Bart Benton. And Bart Benton, this is a serious law firm. You know, these folks. This isn't Morgan & Morgan. By the way, that guy is a Gator, and if you call anybody on a giant billboard, you will never, ever get to speak to them. You're going to speak to some paralegal. They're probably not going to take your case to trial. They're going to try to get you a simple check by settling out of court. Ben, these guys are good at what they do. In 2024, this is October. We still got 3 months to go. They've already collected $55 million for their clients in 2024. So you need to reach out to Benton and Benton, father-son team. Everybody knows them in Monroe. They handle cases all over the state. And if you can't remember what the name is, just remember their logo. If you're injured, be smart, call Bart. And again, you've been bit by a dog, you've been hit by somebody hits you in your car. I mean, how many times do you get messed up by somebody else? You know, they will take care of you and make sure that you get what is coming to you so that, you know, you're not put behind the 8 ball. Like, Kalen DeBoer needs to reach out to him because he got run over today. So.
Guess who's taking on Biolab for that explosion? Old Benton and Benton.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right.
So, yeah.
Hey, that's in my hometown. That thing's caught fire twice.
Yeah, I remember when I think it's 3 times actually.
When's the last time it caught fire?
2 years ago.
Shut up, man.
That's it? 2 years ago?
Yeah, and then back in like
20 years
2004.
ago.
Yeah, like 2004, it boomed like this. Like 2 years ago, it caught a small fire. Yeah,
Okay.
I drove by it the other day with the plume still out there. It wasn't great, but it is what it is. You got to work, you know, Roddy. You got to work.
Yeah, I'm just saying there's a lot of people in Conyers. My aunt is in Conyers. She's 85 years old. She called me in the middle of the show. She was locked out of her house and I had to like walk her through how to get back in. It was crazy.
Gosh.
She can't drink regular water because she can smell the chlorine in it. She has a tumor behind her eye and it's messed up with her olfactory senses. And so she's very sensitive to smells. And she's in the lower part of Conyers and you get this freaking chlorine cloud up in the sky. I'm like, Alto, you poor thing, but she's okay. I'm just saying there are a lot of people who've been hurt by these people. And if there's negligence, Ben and Ben are going to nail their asses to the wall. And
trust me. Ben and Benton's they're gonna be up in that thing. I promise you that.
Bring on Jordan and John and Larkin and Jr.
All right, let's do it.
By the way, you got to mention this guy too.
Oh, Chris Calvin with the $9.99 says Rowdy. I think that's Rowdy. Sits at the left hand of Coach. LOL.
I do. I sit at the left hand, and we cut from the Georgia game to the Alabama game. He called the first 3 plays of the Vandy offense.
Wow.
It was like,
hey, I didn't watch you guys. I was over at my in-laws for the game, and I came home. I got on there to see if you guys were wrapping up. Right, I was about to head upstairs, and I hear Coach. He's like, Dane's like, well, we don't want to cut into the overreaction show with Paul. Coach is like, well, we got to stay here. We gonna stay here. I was like, all right, Coach, you got it.
That's what the delay was.
Yeah, there's people in the comments, Jason, like this show is way better than the POS, and I'm like, dude,
I mean, it's hard to argue.
I can't go up against Coach, bro. Like, I can't go up against the Hall of Fame Coach. But I'm sitting there. I'm just like, my self-esteem is in the absolute toilet.
Yeah.
Hey, Jordan, make him feel better.
Yeah,
yes,
please,
sir,
Jordan.
Coach. I got you, Coach. I got you, Coach.
Yeah. What do you? So your Wi-Fi is better now because your wife didn't kick you out of the house.
Yeah, my wife didn't kick me out of the house anymore. We're good. I just got
What's your thoughts on this team, this win, this everything?
Offensive line's a liability right now, honestly.
Ooh,
I mean, trust, if we want to get specific, I mean, I'm just a bum on the couch calling shots after the game, but trust cost me some money tonight.
I said it mattered to some. It mattered to some.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that, and then they pulled Morris out of the game and put Trust at guard. I didn't quite understand. Like Bobo's a little easier pill to swallow because Jared Wilson's a starter. Jared Wilson's like first year of getting actual like game time action. So I was like, okay, if he misses an assignment, that's one thing. But Trust has been there since Nam. I mean, at this point, I mean,
He has. Dude. He's been there. He has been there a long ass time, dude.
respectfully, if that helps do any damage control, but
Respectfully, of course.
respectfully.
All due respect.
Okay, so I'm good. But
No, I think he probably played football with the first
no Sean,
Charlie Trippy.
no Jesus no
no
like
Sean with Stafford. No.
Kirby's first year. Those guys, he played football with some of those guys, right?
Yeah, and like I was honestly, I don't have any complaints about the O line. Other like Ernest got hurt, and so he was like after he got banged up, like Monroe Frilling came in, and I mean I felt like he did fine for being just kind of thrown in, and I mean they mix him in per like they usually do, but I mean it's like Trust was kind of the steady, the blow up play. Like Carson did the right thing on the sack and stepped up in the pocket because Trust kind of had the angle, and then he beat him back inside, and I'm like, you should have just kept him outside, and then wouldn't have had that problem. But yeah, Trust was kind of, and I don't like the single out. I mean, they're kids. They're grown men built like grown men, but they're still.
Well, when you're 27, you're no longer a kid.
Hey, they
are getting paid these days.
So I thought about this. I'm glad you brought this up, Jordan, because I was thinking about this the other day. Because I feel the same way. I said, man, I really don't like talking down about these kids. And then I said, hold on, these kids are making like $400,000 a year.
That's fair.
Like, there is some accountability that can be had now that you're making a shit ton of money. Right?
Pre-NIL, I was very much not go after the college kids the way you do NFL guys. And I don't know. It's maybe not as hard as the NFL guys because the NFL guys, most of the NFL guys make more. You have some of these college guys making a crazy amount of money. Yeah. I think it's a little – the gloves come off a little bit now you are making, especially if you are – I think so too. If you're Carson Beck, I'm sorry. Like the shots are you have to take more of those shots.
Yeah, sorry, you got to drop them in your Lambo and your private jet.
I mean, that comes with the territory when you're a professional.
Exactly.
That's what you wanted.
That's more than some pros.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I literally texted my buddy from Lexington when we played Kentucky, and I was like, "Hey, Carson's got the Lambo and the NIL deal with the private." He's like, "It sounds like my college experience." Like, it's like it kind of comes with the territory, I guess, right? Yeah. So, no, but I mean, outside of the O line, I do love some Lawson Lucky. Like my wife dabbled in the idea that Lawson has a lot of 19. If you put 19 on the back of his jersey, like there's definitely some similarities. He's not there yet, but definitely I think that would love to see him get the ball a little bit more. And then
he's your best tight end. Let's call it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't want to 84. I mean, I missed the 84 last year for wearing 84 on the offensive side of the ball. But he did make some blocks tonight. He did make some blocks
tonight.
He did. 100% tonight. I mean, what is this, 5 games in? But he showed up tonight. Like that was encouraging for the rest of the season for sure. But I'd love to see some more 1 and number 3 in the backfield. 1 and 3 are just like Frazier showed some flashes tonight. I think you learn against Bama that you can't go east to west against some of the SEC teams because when you try to do that, it doesn't work out so well. But tonight he did show some flashes. It's just good to see. It's a little extra burst for sure. Defensively, I know we talked about Malachi Starks. I feel like he's almost trying to put too much pressure on himself because he's that guy. It almost feels like he's adding that pressure to himself this year.
Could be.
I mean, you got he's still like I don't think anybody doubts his ability, but it's like last week against Milrow. Milrow beat him to the edge, and it's like, whoa, that's Malachi Starks that he just beat to the edge. That's kind of puts you back in the back of your seat. It's like, whoa, people aren't supposed to do that against Malachi Starks. And then, I mean, I do feel like I don't know if it's tonight. It's like Munden was out, so I don't know if he felt like he had to like elevate his game, but I don't know. I feel like Malachi still is. I don't think anybody's doubting his ability. It just seems like he's getting more eyes on him this year since he's supposed to be a top 10 pick. That maybe we're recognizing more of the stuff that he's doing. I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know what the deal is with Malachi. I mean, he had a couple big plays tonight, but last week was maybe the worst of, I don't say worst of his career, but that was a tough one that he had last week.
Yeah.
I hate to psychoanalyze these kids from this far away, although we just did that about whether or not their leadership is there. But I feel kind of like last year you could point to the secondary and say, okay, well, they can't run because we got Tyke Smith at the star spot, so if they want to try that stuff to the edge, he's going to blow them up. And I don't care that he's, 5'7" or whatever. Tyke is coming like a spider monkey. He's going to take him out. He's a cheetah to the edge. Then you had Kamari. It's like, well, they can't throw over here because Kamari's going to be in coverage. So they were picking on Dalen Everett on the other side.
Yeah.
Teams are still kind of picking that way, and if they go the other way against Julian Humphrey or Daniel Harris, I mean, they got beat in the end zone for a touchdown, and the guy just dropped it.
Mm-hmm.
And they come up doing the waving their arms up like no fly zone. I'm like, that's a freaking drop zone, dude.
Yeah.
You didn't do a damn thing but get burned. So don't start doing the seat belt bullshit when you get toasted, and the guy just dropped it. So.
That was a play Dalen did that too. He did it as he was falling down. He was doing the seatbelt thing. I'm like, you can't do this. Like, the only time you're doing seatbelt when you're falling down is because you need the seatbelt. Like, don't act like
if you knock the ball away, without causing pass interference or defensive shooting, then you get to celebrate. It's like sack dances. To me, they're just
One thing on defense, though, like, speaking of Jonell Aguero, like, I feel like he's, like, last week I noticed it, and then again tonight, like, it's almost like a step behind. Like, Milrow looked like he was playing backstreet, like, football, and he just danced around Jonell last week. And then this week there was another time that it just looked like he was a step slower than where he needed to be. Like, I don't know if that's is that he's a step slower, or is that he was in the wrong place?
Sometimes you're at trail techniques. Sometimes you got leverage, and I mean, there's a million. That's why I don't try to overanalyze it. But
exactly, maybe that's what I'm
about Malachi. He was surrounded by, 3 of the guys that were on the field with him were drafted.
Yeah, exactly.
And so maybe he feels like, okay, well, not only is it all on me, but I've got to be double checking for Jonell Aguero. I got to be watching the slot. I got to be watching,
over top of
wheel route. I got to come
up with
Javon support. And
there's no more Javons. There's no more Jacobys. There's no more Nolans. Like, there's all the levels. There's no more of those. Like, he went from being the follower to the man in command, and then he's also trying to teach these other guys at all the levels to do their job while still trying to do his. Like, again, like you said, try not to overanalyze. It's like, it is different seeing him get beat when you're not used to seeing him get beat, but it's also what else is he having to be responsible for that we're sitting there not seeing that. For sure. So, but I do think that, Dylan Bell, I know we're missing Marcus Rosemary this year. He's a little bit smaller version of Marcus Rosemary, but Dylan Bell's just steady Eddie, man. You get him the ball, he's going to find a way to get his hands on the ball. He's going to block. He's going to do all the dirty work that's not going to be getting the credit for the play. But I do like the fact that I wish we could get him the ball a little bit more, but a lot of mouths to feed. I don't understand that. So,
well, also, they're shading towards him.
Yeah, I do. I like that. Yeah, that's true because he's been for Georgia's offensive weapons. You got ETN that's new. You got Colby Young that's new. That he's the consistent. There's no more Bowers and McConkey, so the only one that they've seen on tape is 86. So it's like, well, we've seen that guy. We know what he's capable of. Let's at least shade his way and see what the other guys can do. And it worked out tonight. Beck threw it past 86's ears, and Dobb was there and happened to say, "Look what I found," and get in the end zone. So worked out, but I needed
Jason,
18.
I got more. I got.
No, I appreciate y'all getting me on here this week for sure. So
For sure, man. Have
thanks,
fun.
y'all.
Go watch Arkansas. Heard they're
3-0, and Arkansas is driving the ball, man. It's getting anchored down. By the way, I forgot to mention that.
There you go.
might be upset Saturday, guys. I'm just saying. Might be.
Yeah,
We're not done
I
yet.
love it. Hey, the
Not
dog
done yet.
dancing. Hey, the road on the SEC is a humbling experience. What's Kirby say? A week on the road's
Humility is only a week away.
humility. Yeah, it's humble, not humility. Is only a week away. That's right. Go Dogs. Appreciate it. See you next week.
Thank you, Jordan.
All right.
Think I need to jump too. Saw some
I'm gonna
stories
gonna roll
popping
out,
up.
JB.
Yes, sir. Thanks for thanks for everything. Good conversation.
All
Guess
right,
that's
brother.
what we're taking y'all for. I don't know.
Hey, we thank you. We thank you.
All right, y'all take care. I'll be
Sorry,
on the other
brother.
side.
My favorite doctor's in the chat. Dr. Greg Steely, 100% Paul's fault. I've missed him. The past few weeks. There he is with the new cowboy hat. We got Jermaine in the building. Foster, get your ass back in the chat, Foster. I saw you. I don't know. You didn't click on it on accident either. You have to go through multiple steps to get into the chat. I saw you. Come back on, bro. Please. But one guy we love having on. This is one of my favorite guys. He is the king of pessimism. The above everything. He will tell you this team can't do anything right. In the last couple of weeks, he's actually been a little bit optimistic, Roddy. His name's John.
Maybe he's got a fever. Yeah, COVID.
Not this week. Not this week. I'm not.
Yeah, there he is, baby. There he is, baby.
Let me just say this. Let Kalen DeBoer lose one more he's not supposed to. I'm not gonna. In another life, I had some dealing. Paul Bryant Jr. is on the phone right now talking to somebody. I guarantee you he is. They don't play around over. Y'all know. I mean, you know better. Let him lose another one he's not supposed to. He better be glad that Harvey Updike's dead. I mean, seriously. I mean, they kill each other over there. They shoot each other.
They shoot each other.
They do. Look it up. There was a father that killed a son over a Bama loss. It was in the internet era. It's on the internet.
Yeah.
So let me just say this, and I'm not making light of PTSD, but I read something on the board this week that all you Bobo haters have Richt era PTSD, and I self-described. I figured out what was wrong with it. And maybe that's what I have. I don't know. I don't listen. And Coach brought me back down to light during the watch along when he said what he said about who's all affected when a coach gets fired. And I'm not pushing to get fired, but this year reminds me a lot of 2019. Jake Fromm did not, and I love Fromm. That he didn't play. He played okay. He wasn't like he was the past 2 years. We lost to South Carolina, got run out by a good LSU team. It just has all the. I don't know. It just feels like 2019. And as we remember, after 2019, what happened? Coley left. He went and got Buster Faulkner to be an analyst, and I think that's when Monken came in too, didn't he? Mm-hmm. Before the COVID years. So I just don't know what the answer is. And like you said, there's no identity. You win as a win, but like, what's the identity? What's the identity? And Xavier Truss, I'm sorry, 6-year senior, he should be the leader. He should. I think he's had a penalty in every game, and 2 of them have been costly. Not costly, but touchdowns called back. He should be the bell cow on offense. He's been there for 6 years.
But he's always, if you watch him, spend some time, go back and watch the replays. He's always after the play, and I actually complimented him on one because he was pass pro and he pancaked a guy, knocked him to the ground, and then kind of jumps on him. He's always out there fighting. And we always talk about how we want our defensive linemen to be nasty. Well, he's nasty, and he's always 2 seconds away from either throwing fists or having fists thrown at him. He is an absolute fighter, just kind of a backyard brawler. And there are times that he just comes in too damn late, man. And I'm like, quit this little, penis measuring contest out there with the other guys. Just do your damn job. When the whistle blows or gets close to it, go back, take a page out of No Sean Moreno's, get back to the huddle quickly. And if you want to talk smack, point to the damn scoreboard. Don't point to the fact that you got a 15-yard foul or a penalty, or a holding or a legal man downfield or some stupid crap like that. Stop doing it. With you, I get it if it's a new guy,
Yeah. I thought Drew Bobo played well. I really did. I mean, he had a couple.
I think he gave up a sack or something up the middle.
Yeah, but he held his own. I mean, they're not bad on the defensive line. They're not.
Now, to be fair, though, they ran a lot behind Xavier Truss tonight.
So, and I guess my frustration, I don't know if it's frustration. It's first world problems, I guess. But, we finished in the top 4 in recruit. And listen, 19 was a generational talent, probably one of the best offensive talents in my lifetime that I'll see. And Ladd was great. But, we finished in the top 4 in recruiting every year. Where is our Ferraris? I know Ryan Williams is generational, but are they just not – are we not developing them? Are we not recruiting the right guys? And we say, oh, well, they're not ready. Well, if they're coming to Georgia, don't you think they should be able to contribute something, especially in a year like this? What's going on?
Okay, well, you can go back and look and see the players Georgia's recruited past 4 years. They've had one top 50 player not at quarterback on the offensive side of the ball. That's Nate Frazier. The rest of the top 50 guys have been on the defensive side of the ball. They've been the linebackers, the KJ Boldens, the Malachi Starks. You've had one guy. You'll have two if Talon Taylor stays in that, which I think that he will. That'll be your second in 4 or 5 recruiting classes on the offensive side of the ball, skill weapon wise. So you've only had one in Nate Frazier. There's your issue. You have these really high recruiting classes, but if you go back and really look at them, you're getting a lot of your ratings and your bumps from the defensive side of the ball, as opposed to.
And that's kind of been. And I love Kirby Smart. I think I love that he's our coach. And that's kind of always been, if there is a rub on him, he can recruit defensive players. He's never, and you listen to him, I don't think it's Freudian slips, but if you listen to his press conference, he'll say, when they go against us, it's a tough bat. He's talking about the defense. So that just kind of alludes to where it is. And again, we all end up where what we're used to. And I'm not saying he doesn't take ownership of the offense, but he's clearly a defensive minded guy. And I don't know. And Nate Frazier, I'm sorry, and I love Branson. Pass protection, not Nate Frazier needs to be in behind number 1. Number 1 is definitely he's the man. But Nate Frazier runs mad.
He's
and
great.
Branson just had trouble. I love him. I think the guy's a great guy.
Branson's been having.
He's had trouble. And if it's about pass pro, then keep Cash Jones in the pass pro. But Nate Frazier should get some more opportunities to run the ball.
I agree with you. A lot of people think that there's some grand conspiracy, and they're like you. They're like, well, if Ryan Williams can do it, where are our freshmen? I'm like, well, your freshmen are really good, but most of them are – you brought in the number 1 inside linebacker. You brought in the number 1 defensive end. You brought in the number 1 safety. You brought in the number 1 cornerback. You didn't bring in the number 1 wide receiver.
Yeah.
You didn't bring in the number 1 tight end, cornerback. Tailback. You brought in some good ones. And I'm with you. The people who've been banging for Nate Frazier, I'm like, that's great until you tell me that you want to take out Trevor Etienne.
I don't.
I'm with you. You don't, because you said he needs to be backing up number 1.
Yeah, right.
I got a lot of people like, put in 3. I'm like, if freshmen are the way to go, field a team of all freshmen and tell me how that shit works out for you.
I think you can put Frazier in there though on some second downs and some first downs.
I 100% agree. I'm just saying when people say bring him, and he's a good 1-2.
Yes.
I get why you bring in Branson Robinson especially in that fourth quarter. Just know he's going to bust through one of those, because you think that defensive line has gotten softer. You're getting a little bit of push. He can power through, but I'm like, the way Nate Frazier runs so angry and so slippery.
Different.
I remember, I'm sure all of us played. You get out there and you're tired in the fourth quarter, and here comes, Travis Henry. He's like, I don't want to have to tackle one of these big guys. You don't want to have to tackle, Todd Gurley in the fourth quarter. Just he's too big. But at the same time, you also were too tired to run down a little scat back who fly past you.
Right.
So you put him in there, and all of a sudden they handed off to him. He picked up 11 yards. Yeah. Other times he went the wrong way and got nothing.
Yeah, and next week's going to be no indication. I think Texas is winnable. Obviously, they're all winnable, but
a lot of people.
So my question is, and if you say this, ask it on the board. I'll ask it on the board. But like a Ryan Williams, first off, what's he going to cost? Like somebody like that. And 2, is a Ryan Williams, no matter what, if say we could pay him $10 million, Is somebody like that going to come to Georgia? I'm even looking at what we have, like for say next year. We don't know we know probably who the quarterback will be, but like I don't know how Georgia can't get a guy like that with the money. If it's down to money, why are we not getting them? Is it because
they're
of
using
the
the money
offense?
they're using the money on the defensive side
That's
of the
what
ball.
I'm saying.
Right?
Is it because no? And I'll ask it on the board if you say ask it on the board. I get it. You guys don't.
No, I'll be
you
happy
make
to
a
go over
living.
No, the Texas guy, the guy that runs our Texas site, is reaching out to me because he wants to talk. He's doing a story on NIL, and I made this comment on here last week, and it took off. It got on the board. People were asking about it. I said, look, they had a month there a while back where they had to reach out to one of Georgia's donors and say, look, we're a little short, and it was an issue. Now again, that's just because you have people who overpromise. Then it takes them a long time to write a check. Paul still owes me money. He promises stuff and it takes forever for him to pay me back, and then it's like, oh, my wife's in the hospital. My kid's sick. I don't have any gas at the house. It's all these kind of sob stories. And I'm like, you got to pay the VIG,
Right.
You got to keep going. But and then I have other, like Coach John say, oh, we got money. Well, yeah, you do have a lot of money, but it's how you allocate it. You don't have unlimited funds. So they spend a lot of their money on keeping Carson Beck from going pro, keeping a lot of these other guys from going pro that could have, So it's like, then they're not going to go toe to toe with a Ryan Williams or an Aaron Gregory that they need next year's class. The only guy that they overspent for, KJ Bolden. He's the only one they made. I don't say overspent. That's wrong. The only guy who they spent more than what they budgeted for incoming freshman is KJ Bold. Kirby is not going to – you're not going to get a Luther Burden. You're not going to get a Williams and Wannery. The Ryan Williams, the Jeremiah Smith, somebody said we should have thrown everything at Jeremiah Smith. You can do him and you'll get that one guy, but you won't get the others. So he goes for the totality of it. They promise the development, and they just don't quite they don't have a lot of money because people go, well, Georgia's got it. I'm not banging on you, John, because you like everybody else, you assume that Georgia's got as much money as everybody else. They don't. People do not donate. Every time I mention something NIL related, I get 47, not hate mail messages, but hell no, I ain't giving to Georgia. They just raise prices. We got money. Well, you don't. I'm telling you don't. I actually need to I need to mention this real quick while we're talking about them, is our buddies at Hunker Spirit. I had people complaining about the Bulldog bar. There's these Bulldog bars that came out. They're granola bars and cookies. I'm like, look, you don't have to send Georgia a check. Just buy Bulldog granola bars instead of Nature Valley. Well, I don't want to do that. Okay. Just buy Hunker bourbon and Hunker vodka instead of Tito's and Maker's Mark or whatever you do. If you had 1,000 people, 10,000, 100,000 people buying the same Bulldog bars or the red and black water that just came out or the bourbon or the Tito's gave $20 million to the University of Texas. What liquor company has given Georgia $20 million? You know what Georgia could do with $20 million? They could sign a Ryan Williams. So if everybody in Georgia who's a Georgia fan and has a tailgate, instead of putting Maker's Mark or whatever, on their bourbon, they get the Hunker bourbon or Hunker vodka. Now all of a sudden Hunker's giving Georgia $20 million, our friends at ASW Distillery. So there's a way around it, but they just do not have it. And they've got a lot that they pay their guys, but it's for the starters and the guys at the top, not for the new guys coming in. They're not going to get into a bidding war for freshmen so that you have a freshman come in who's making 5-6 times what your starting Z receiver's getting.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, I assume that Georgia's got a blank check. Why? I just figured it was.
No, everybody does. I did. Until they came to me and they're like, "We have a monthly contribution thing." I said, "Well, how many tens of thousands of people do you have giving $21 a month?" They said, "We have 85 people."
Yeah.
I posted on the board. By the end of the day, they had 185. The next day, they had close to 300. Just by posting on the dog van going, hey, join up Classic City Collective, give them $21 a month and it'll help out. And then the Classic City Collective they weren't doing the come to practice free or come to practice if you're a donor, stuff like that. They weren't giving them much for their money. So they just didn't have it, man. So I'm with you there. I'll sum it all up, and Georgia can't compete for those they won't allocate their resources towards high-end skill players coming in as freshmen. They are taking their considerable NIL efforts and putting it towards the guys who have already produced or who may transfer in, like a Trevor Etienne, and not a kid who's unproven in high school who may or may not be a superstar.
Yeah. Do you think that – I think there's been 2 times now. I got to go back and watch it. He's gotten hot. Coach has gotten hot offensive staff. You can tell. Kentucky game. And then today –
Go faster.
He was MFing somebody on that last drive on the headphones saying, y'all MFers can't even run the ball or y'all can't. He said, I got to go back and watch it. I think there's some frustration.
Control the ball, I think is what he said, John.
Control. Do you think – I think, I can't remember if it was when Nick Saban's epiphany was about, I need to do something with my offense or change my philosophy or something when he brought in Kiffin or he brought in – I think it was after they lost to Clemson in that championship. When he would quit playing bully ball. And I know Georgia's opened it up a good bit, but like you said, you watch what Heupel's doing, and that's his bread and butter, but I don't know, man. This offense, I just thought would be so much more high caliber. Like you said, I felt like this was the most collective offensive weapons we had in a long time, and it's just, I don't know. I mean, anybody
you're right, John, they do. They have them. Don Lovett was great. He could lead the league in receptions. Dylan Bell's a monster. He could run it or to catch it. Aaron Smith, the fastest guy in the conference. You had a quarterback who set the single season Georgia record for passes completed. Yeah, you lost Brock Bauer, so you're not a Washington tight end, but you got a couple good guys coming up. And then your offensive line was supposed to be great. But individually, each person has had an error. They have not been a well-oiled machine. Somebody gets a penalty, somebody misses a block, somebody misses a throw, or drop passes. A lot of drop passes this year. So, again, you got the talent, but the execution has been good.
Yeah.
I mean, you're winning.
Yeah.
But it has not been elite.
No.
Not elite.
No. I just, and then you wonder now how bad is Alabama loss look now. I know it won't, but you're like, Alabama, probably need to win out now after this.
No, you don't want any piece of Alabama again. You'd rather them lose another one, and you don't.
Oh yeah. No. I don't want them. And the other thing is, that's a whole other thing. Everybody bagged on Georgia, and then you had some of the national people say Georgia did, but nobody shed light that Alabama just Alabama just throttled down. Well, look what happened. I think it was more of Alabama doesn't have the discipline that they had. They're obviously missing.
No, not at all.
They're missing St. Nick. Milroe got caught on a hot mic saying our defense is trash. Sitting on the bench in the last.
Did he really?
Yeah. He wasn't hot, but he said our defense is trash. And they were Ryan Williams. So I think that there's blood in the water everywhere. It's just I was hoping that we would just. I just want to beat Texas. I want to beat Lane, but I don't know. Our defense, I don't know how we can defend a Sarkisian offense and then turn around and do today. Even how we played today, they could be up 28 again. They could be up 28 the way we played today.
Yeah, they don't have the defense though.
No, they don't. But,
John, we appreciate you.
Yeah, man. Thank you, guys.
John, we'll see you next week, right? Okay. All right. Maybe not. Yeah, I'm sure we will.
We better see him next week.
To clarify, I said top 50, not top 150 on those players from 2020 to 2024, and George Pickens was 2019 when he was top 50. So just to clarify, because I know DDB asked a couple of questions. He's asking about Travis Smith Jr., committed to Tennessee. Will NIL flip him? I don't think so, but you never know. He's a good player, though.
NIL will flip a lot of people, but, again, let me tell you the quick story. I've said it 1,000 times, but we had a bunch of new people watching this week. I went on these airwaves and promised that Caleb Downs was going to be a Georgia Bulldog. I did. I've been doing this since 1993, so 31 years. I've never promised something was going to happen. I did it for the first time in my career, and it bit me right in the ass. Now, why did I say that? Well, I knew who took him to find an apartment. I knew where he was going to live. I knew who got him registered for his classes, so we knew what he was going to take. I knew how much money he was going to make per month because I knew the guy that was going to pay him to represent their business. Exactly what he was going to make. It'd be $30,000 a month. I knew the man that was going to write the checks. That's the guy that told me. We signed the deal. We got it ready to go. I knew about the 2 or 3 hour dinner that he and his family had with the entire coaching staff at 5 Bar before he came up here. And as he was about to be announced, we got a call from the president's office because they had just pulled out of all his classes because he's going to Ohio State for $100,000 a month. Georgia offered $30,000 to get Caleb Downs. Ohio State offered $100,000 a month. So he goes from making $360,000 to $1.2 million. Kirby's like, good luck. They're like, well, did Georgia? People ask me, did Georgia match the offer? Hell no. They didn't have it.
Is he hurt, Caleb Downs?
I don't know.
I don't think he is. He is not on the stat sheet for them against Iowa.
I don't know. Great kid, love him, but I couldn't fault him for it. My
Caleb Petey says 2019 class was epic. Also, Truss was in that class. Damn. That's all right. What you got here, boss?
I want to mention our friends at the Rogue Shop because we really don't talk about them enough. But the Rogue Shop is one of our best sponsors. They've been a sponsor of this show longer than anybody else.
Yeah.
Better than Ben, more so than our friends at ASW. The Rogue Shop, this is basically Richard Zamora, his wife Charmaine. It's 2 people. They run this shop out of Oregon. He is a former D1 athlete. He's also a member of the military. He got hurt, and he did not want to get addicted to opioids, but he needed something for his chronic pain. And they can only prescribe you so many pain pills before they're like, okay, we're cutting you off. He didn't want to get addicted to that stuff either. So he looked into cannabinoids, and he found out that they have that anti-inflammation capabilities, and he started looking into it. He grew up, he's like, don't do drugs. Drugs are bad. Say no to drugs. He's
bad, okay.
He's an athlete, he's a military, body's a temple. But then when he got hurt, he's like, man, I have chronic problems. And so he found this, and he's like, well, I don't trust anybody else making this stuff. So he makes it himself. He and Charmaine, they do it. So they've got the Hollow Green treat packs. They're $16.99. It's a sample pack of their Delta 8 and their Delta 9 stuff. If you have problems sleeping or you have chronic pain issues, like I got a left knee and meniscus is all shot to hell, and now the tendon on the front's killing me, that patella tendon. It's just stuff. They actually have a cream that I rub on it, and it takes some of the swelling out. It's great stuff. But if you have chronic pain or you have problems sleeping, like my friend Cheryl down in Pensacola, she's been an insomniac for 20 years. This is the only thing in 2 decades that helps her sleep. So, and of course, they also have some fun things too. So try their brownie mix.
Hey, just add a little egg and some water, and
yeah. So check out our friends at the Rogue Shop. Use promo code Bulldogs10, BULLDOGS10, get 10% off your order. And if you use the code, it lets them know that you heard about them from us. Yes. So the more people use the code, it's good for you because you get the 10% off. But it's good for us because they can go back at the end of the year and go, hey, there were 750 orders from UGA Sports. I need to continue supporting him. He's a huge Texas fan. I can't wait to give him 9 types of shit when Georgia beats them in Austin. I will make him send us a super pack for losing that game.
Yes. We appreciate them a lot. I talked to him on the phone as well. He's a great guy. Before we bring on Larkin real quick, Roddy, I wanted to look at this. Dan Jackson this year, 26 tackles. Okay.
Yeah.
He's got 20 solo tackles because the ESPN hasn't updated, so I'm adding this together. You know my math's bad. He's got a fumble recovery. He's got an interception. He has 2 pass deflected. And now he has a kick block on his resume this year. Caleb Downs this year has 17 tackles, 9 solos, 0 fumble recoveries, 0 interceptions, and 1 pass defended, and no kick blocks. I don't know. Just something made me. We were talking about Caleb Downs.
And only 1 cupcake on that whole Georgia's schedule.
We were talking about Caleb Downs, and I said, you know what? Let me compare him to old Dirty Dan, and Dirty Dan is outshining him drastically so far. And yes, Dr. Steely. Oh, you missed it. Dr. Steely loves he loves rubbing that cream. Roddy loves that. All
Dude,
right, let's bring.
I walk 6 miles a day, and my left knee, when you extend it, it sounds like somebody dangling a bag full of nuts and bolts. It's just kind of.
I walk 6 miles a day, 3 uphill and 3 uphill the other way.
It's so that stuff's good. Yeah, bring on Larkin.
Hey, Larkin, there he is. What's up, Larkin?
Roddy, you're making me laugh because as I extend my left leg under my desk here, I hear the crink, and it's like the potato chip bag is like crunching in my crinkling in my knee. So yeah, no.
My wife sat up in bed the other day because I lifted up and I extended my knee, and she's like, "What the hell is that?" I thought the dog had fallen off the couch or something. I'm like,
I know. Well, Paul, thanks for having me on again. You know,
no problem, Larkin.
This is my therapy, right? This is my therapy.
If this is your therapy, dear God,
I'd say, one thing I want to say.
Yeah, Vandy on in the background.
Yeah, he does.
I got the Arkansas game on. I think I just want to say something about NIL because you made a good point that look. I have 3 different Georgia chats. I've got my 2 boys, my oldest who graduated from Georgia, and then my middle guy who's at Bowdoin. Then I have my sort of college friend Georgia chat, and then I have my high school friend Georgia chat. So I got 3 text chats going on at once. Total pain in the ass. And, we complain about the wide receiver all the time. Like, why can't we recruit these guys? Why can't we recruit these guys? Why aren't we paying them? Blah, blah, blah. But, and I think to your point, Roddy, it's like, you remember about, I can't remember if it was 5 or 6 years ago, Jeff Sintel on a competitor who we shall not name was telling us that Jaden Hazelwood was the second coming of Jesus Christ. And if you imagine today, if we had paid that guy whatever you wanted to pay him, like he was a bust. And I don't see him play. I mean, he was 2 years at Oklahoma and he transferred to Arkansas and Lord knows what he's doing now. I mean, I think as much as we all are, get very upset about the wide receiver recruiting and why aren't we getting, the Luther, Vardens of the world and all these guys, but it's such a crapshoot on the wide receivers. I mean, we probably would have paid over the odds for Jaden Hazelwood and he would have been an absolute dud. So money just not well spent. So I think all of us as fans I complain as much as anybody and I scream at the TV and I say dumb shit on my various group chats, and my sons and I especially are all back and forth about the wide receivers all the time. But when you were talking about it, it made me think about Jaden Hazelwood, and we would have paid over the odds for that kid. And not to criticize kids because they're 18 years old, but he just didn't pan out.
Jermaine says, been a waste of money. Could we pay Hazelwood in those days? I don't think so. I totally get where you're coming from, Larkin. I don't know if it was legal to pay back then. Not saying he didn't make it.
But I'm saying, but like a Jaden Hazelwood today.
But I get it.
Right. Yeah. I would have come on here and said, pay him what he needs.
Oh yeah, dude. We saw him at Rivals camps. We saw him at Cedar Grove. That kid was a freak.
He did. Yeah. I wanted. You know how you take your camera and do slow motion things. Yeah,
I remember you did this. Yeah.
I slow motioned his feet coming off the line. Step right, step left, step back, go left, and it's just so fast. And the guy who's in press man is you're trying I got to hit him on the inside shoulder and try to spin him off his route. You're looking down at his feet or his hips, and you were just spun around. And you're right, Jade's a good kid. I didn't like some of the people around him, but I would have been the one standing on the table saying, "Pay this man his money." Yeah. And I would have been wrong as hell. And Kirby's like, yeah, we're not going to do that. Now, I'll go get a London Humphreys for $5,000 a month. They wasn't making a van. And London Humphreys, they draft it. Dom love it,
And I mean, I unfortunately, I think London was hurt in the Alabama game or barely used. I think it was, but you could you saw his potential in the Clemson game. In the second half, when he took the ball, Carson, I think, threw it a little bit behind him, but he got the ball, immediately turned up field, put on the Jets, and 46 yards later, it's, taking it to the house. And you see 3-star kid, but, fast as hell, developed pretty well at Vanderbilt. And I think he's going to be great. I mean, I just think he's had some, we just haven't had him on his field as much as we would have liked.
Thing too, Larkin, is with I'm sure they have some type of salary cap, right? And it's just
Yeah.
like a team, we're going to spend X amount on wide receiver. Well, you brought in Dom Lovett, who at the time, let's not forget, he had just come off a over 800-yard season from Missouri. He looked just as good, if not better, than Luther Burton on that.
He had
team.
more catches, more yards.
Yeah. I mean, I think maybe, and I'm not going to speak on it like to say for sure, but maybe they spend a good bit of money on Lovett and they have some money tied up right now that they can't go put into a different wide receiver. And so you have to go get a London Humphreys and Colby Young and guys like that to kind of fill in the rest of the rotation, if you will. So you have that all-star closer that you're paying $12 million a year, but you still need those middle relievers to get to that closer. So, that might be what it is too in that sense, because when Georgia brought in Lovett, I was like, man, this kid, I think this
and Ra Thomas.
And Ra, correct. And you can't go out and recruit after Ra, right? That money is gone. The transfer portal is over by the time he's off the team. You can't go backfill that, right?
No.
So that's lost money there. And Lovett, when they brought him in, I said, look, this is going to be the next 1,000-yard receiver after Terrence Edwards.
Hey, Colby Young saved your ass.
Oh, and Cole, I love Colby.
So you're spending money on is you're spending money on Colby Young, Michael Jackson III, and London Humphreys. The year before it was Ra Thomas and Dom Lovett.
Yeah.
You went and got Trevor Etienne, and Trevor Etienne came. He's got a weakness for a certain type of car. It's an Audi.
Yeah.
And he wanted a specific Audi for talking to his rep, and George was like, "Hey, you can spend your money on whatever you want, And also, we don't do that. He got the Audi because somebody said, "Hey, here's how you get it," and he wanted one that's very tough to find. My point is, Georgia uses their money. We're not going to get a Jaden Hazelwood like you said. And maybe they can't. If it's reasonable, they'll do it. But the price ain't reasonable, and that's why I bring up. I'm like, look, let's not. And the donor fatigue is crazy.
Yeah.
I hang out with a couple of these guys that have spent millions. There's a guy who's watching the show right now that gave $1 million after Georgia lost to Alabama last year. $1 million.
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
he says, I don't want to ever feel this way again. After the Alabama loss, he's like, what is it going to take? I'm ready. He's ready to write another check. I'm like, dude.
He could give us. You know what he could do instead of writing $1 million, right? We could make him his own personal POS show for about 10 grand and show him that Georgia actually won the game and make him feel a lot better for a lot less.
He's a good friend, so I never ask him for money. I don't even ask him to sponsor our show. I'm like, dude,
what I'm saying is he could give us 10 grand. We could make a whole show.
You do what you want to do. Yeah. So, but again, there are people out there who are willing to do this and fight for it. And but he's the only one who's not tired of being asked. So that's when Josh Millard says, look, I process credit cards all over the place. I'll process every credit card transaction Georgia does for its tickets, for its concessions and everything. And I'll do it at cost. So let's say you spend $100, they charge 3%. He charges 3% to run a credit card. Well, his cost is on like $1.20. So he'll give $1.80 to Georgia on every credit card transaction. He's like, this will be millions for them. He's willing to do it at cost, not make any money because he's a former Georgia player. And again, everybody who buys with credit cards, in other words, the donors wouldn't have to give money. If you can crowdsource this,
you have to
be able to go out and go toe to toe with Ole Miss buying a defense, Ohio State buying all the Caleb's of the world, Tennessee doing the Nico deal that they did that made such thing. You would actually be able to promise what Florida promises to quarterbacks and pay it.
You're going to have to. That's going to have to be a thing at every school, I feel like, unless the Ole Misses and Ohio States who just have, multiple guys that just have money to throw out there. You're going to have to do that crowdsourcing type stuff there.
Yeah. Well, the thing I think that, not to talk too much about the game because you've had a lot of guys on who've talked about the game, but, I would say, look, I'm happier than I was last week.
Give us your thoughts on the game. We want to hear it.
Yeah, we
don't need to talk about NIL. I'm sorry, I get off on that. But
look, the game was frustrating, right? And it's almost I feel like it was like kissing your sister. It's a big pile of yuck, and your
sister.
Listen, we were like after the first 3 and out in the first quarter, I was on my phone texting my sons like, God you know what the heck? And then I totally missed the illegal or the 12 men on the field. Didn't realize we got the first down. Picked my head up. I'm like, wait, what happened here? totally missed it. But so like, we're one boneheaded. I mean, thank God, Auburn, for being boneheads, but literally one boneheaded mistake away from everyone having a meltdown about here we go again, 3 and out. I mean, what in the actual, what is going on? And I think, Roddy, I think you asked people like the identity of this team or like what you think or what is our identity? And I'm like, I think the identity depends on the minute, right? It's one thing 1 minute, it's another thing another minute. And I think like, look, I'm sitting in Manhattan. I'm 800 miles away from you guys. And you guys are closer to the team, but New
York, Kansas.
New York.
This guy's got money. Speaking of money, you want us to make us your own personal show, Larkin? We can do that together.
It's the Larkin Fowler Postgame Overreaction show.
Right.
Yeah, there'll be a whole lot of ranting and a whole lot of F-bombs. And
we put it behind the paywall for the right amount of money.
No, but like, the thing that worries me about this team, and I follow a ton of them on Instagram. We all follow them, right? And we see what's out there. And the thing that worries me, I remember, my all-time favorite. I was a soccer player, not a football player, but my all-time favorite soccer player was this guy Ryan Giggs. He was Welsh. He played for Manchester United. Ryan said that he was one of the greatest soccer players in English history. And, he said something very early in his career. He's like, I never cared about being famous. I just wanted to be good. And listen, different generation. He went pro in 1990. I mean, this is a whole different world, but like, I feel like there are a bunch of guys, and I think Paul, like to you and Jason's point, it's like, I don't want to like harsh on 18, 19-year-old kids, but I feel like there are a whole bunch of kids on this team who care more about being famous than they do about being good. And maybe I'm wrong about that. That's just a feeling I have. And I think that like, it probably comes back to like on my rant last week when I was saying, I think this team lacks elite leadership. Like, I feel like if you had a Nakobe Dean or Roquan or SVP or, even Stetson for that matter, right? Like if you had that type of locker room presence, that a lot of this, like the joy boating and your flash car and you're TikToking it and all these other stupid things that these guys do. I just feel like that maybe less of that would happen. And look, maybe that's just being totally naive and stupid. And look, I'm showing my age by talking about a kid who went pro in 1990 in a different sport. But like, I don't know. We're in the Kardashian age, right? I mean, like, what are they famous for? For being famous. I mean, it's just like what do those chuckleheads do other than get on TV and make idiots of themselves?
They made a hell of a video, Larkin. They made a hell of a video.
Well, all right. Yeah. The video was
one video.
Yeah, the video was good. All right, fine.
A hell of a video.
Yeah, like we've all seen the video, right? No, but like I just no.
I've heard, Larkin.
Plausible deniability, right? Yeah. No, I don't know. I mean, look, you guys are probably obviously much closer to the team than I am, but that's just and we my group chats we text about it. It's just something we sort of like chat about. It's like, do these guys really care about being good, or do they just care about looking good, right? And
that's a tough call because and I don't want. I mean, I'm the 51-year-old man in the building. I could say that about the whole. Is it this generation? But then. Yeah. I went on, I shot a video last week and I put it on TikTok. I put it on YouTube. I put it on the dog vent. I put it on a bunch of different things. And it was just my thoughts on the game. It hundreds of thousands of views. It's not a brag. I wanted to get my thoughts out there, and it was easy to do it. Instead of writing something out that only a few people would see, I was able to do a video and get a ton of them out there. So part of it is the technology. They can get out in front of people. I mean, if you watch Nazir Stackhouse's videos, the dude's a riot. He's funny. We Devontae, Wyatt. We never had to interview him. We get like right before he leaves, we interview him, and he's hilarious. We get him to the NFL Combine. I'm like, where's this guy been for 4 years? So I like the fact that some of these guys can get their information out there. But then you talked about Alabama. Saban leaves and they're all cheesing in the end zone, taking fake pictures and stuff like that. There's all kinds of the lack of discipline kind of pops up there. And you're right. This would not be done with a Roquan Smith or a Quay Walker.
Cedric
Van Pran's like, hey, stop that bullshit over there. Quit screwing around.
Yeah.
Let's pay attention. I know everybody wants to put on the gold chain thing, the turnover chain or the spike pads or whatever, which is kind of fine. We're going to do that, but we're not going to do cheesy crap to say, look at me, say, look at us. And you're right about their identity. It's a little, it's questionable. There's a lot of comments in the section over here, or a lot of comments talking about, what's our identity and leadership and stuff like that. And, we need to, there was one saying, we take what the defense gives us, we need to work on being explosive. You can't force your will on some of this stuff.
Yeah.
So you can't force leadership. You can't force big team, little me. You got to have guys that want it. So to your point, to kind of pull it all together, you got to have that man, you soccer players like, I just want to be good. That's what Stetson Bennett was. Stetson didn't do a lot of stuff. And he wanted to prove himself because a lot of people doubted him, and they still do. So he's had a chip on his shoulder, but he would have bought a Lamborghini's, all I'm saying.
Stetson did hang out at the Chi-Fi house a little bit with when my son was there. So he was having fun, no doubt. But, I guess I have one question and, love to get your thoughts on it. But I wonder how much this team this year misses Will Muschamp, because, say what you will about Coach Muschamp, great defensive coordinator, great defensive back coach. I get he's an analyst. I don't even know if he's there today's game. I don't know if he's up watching his son at Vandy or not, but he is an excellent defensive coach. Yeah. I mean, and no one would ever say otherwise. Right. And, you just wonder how much he's missed this year, because you talk about, Roddy, I think you talked about earlier, setting the edge, losing containment. I mean, the touchdown run that Jax Hunter, or whatever the hell his name is, when he scooted around the edge, reminded me of Milroe's touchdown last week.
Hunter,
I mean, and I don't know. It's I just wonder if this, and look, Glenn Schumann's, what is he, 33? I don't know, 34 or 5. I mean, he's still a young coach, right? And, and you just, and Kirby can't be everywhere, right? I mean, he's coaching a whole team. He can't just, he's in charge of the whole thing, not just the defense. So I wonder, how much we might be missing Will Muschamp this year. Just having a, calming presence, been around. I wonder if that's.
Yeah, but at the same time, Will Muschamp's not the one missing tackles.
No, he's not.
You had the correct scheme called. You pressured him. You collapsed the pockets on the quarterback, and he took off. Hell, even their last drive, you had guys hanging off of him, and he still completed a pass. I'm like, what the hell? Should have been another sack. So Georgia's never been a huge sack team. They don't have guys get 10, 12, 18 sacks a game, or 18 sacks a year. But there was, again, I'll be interested to see how PFF grades some of that stuff, because it's tough to say how many tackles were missed. But even on that first drive, I'm like, shit, it's going to be a long day.
Yeah.
It's an opportunity to stop them early. And again, they only scored 3 in the first half. So I know we're nitpicking, but
it's the overreaction show.
It's what it is, baby.
Yeah, we're supposed to nitpick.
But the people who, and I'll apologize for right off the bat, the people who are complaining about the first half against Clemson, they said, hey, this could come back and bite us in the butt. I'm like, no, look how good they played in the second half. Tennessee Tech, I'm beating my chest. These guys look great. Slow half against Kentucky. God awful half against Alabama. Better half today. But
still not. Let's be honest. It's still not great. You scored 14 points in the first half against Auburn at home.
Yeah,
still not great.
And
I think here's the thing: you left so many points on the field.
Yeah,
that's.
Look, my main complaint last week when I called in was complaining about Mike Bobo, and I think I said, look, I'm a South Georgia kid. I know I've met his dad a few times. I was born in Thomasville. I will to my dying day be a Thomasville Bulldogs fan. I always look, I always follow the Bulldogs.
Who's the tight end we got from there?
Thomasville?
Yeah.
When?
Didn't Georgia get a tight end from Thomasville?
You think of Jay Rome at Valdosta?
No, Jay Rome was not from Thomasville.
No, he's Valdosta.
No.
I could see that. I'm gonna look him up.
Yeah, that you stumped me there. No, but I think my frustration with
Grandpa bad.
with Coach Bobo's offense is since he's taken over, we have not. Well, and I'm not counting Florida State because that was like playing a pro team playing a JV team. We have not had 4 elite quarters of offense in any game that I can remember since Mike took over running the offense, and that I think that's frustrating to a lot of fans.
FSU bowl game FSU bowl game.
You can't count the pro versus JV game. I mean, okay, yes, fine, FSU, but they barely had a team. But but Paul, any game that mattered. Have we had 4 quarters of what you would call, what is Kirby? Like playing to the standard, you're either elite or you're not, right? I mean, have we had 4 quarters of elite offense since Coach Bobo and Carson Beck? FSU, yes, but I can't recall another. And it's frustrating. And I think it's frustrating to all of us, right?
Here's the thing,
we all get on the vent and vent.
Well, show me. Well, I think we need to qualify that. So tonight, when you had 3 possessions in the first half, and then you got one right at the very end there through some good job play calling there. I mean, or good job clock management, but you only had 3 drives. Yeah. One of them you scored. One of them you scored again, but somebody held and brought it back. You scored on your first 2 drives, touchdowns. Then you had another penalty that set you back, I think, on that 3rd drive. Oh, no, you had the sack. You had the sack on that 3rd. And
the sack. Yeah.
So you're calling plays and you're expecting your 5 guys to block 3 and they can't get it done on back-to-back drives. That's not play calling issue. And again, I'm not trying to defend Bobo. We're not even trying.
And look,
at some point it's like, God damn, man, you guys I got 5 of you blocking 3.
3, yeah.
And you can't get sacked twice.
You feel for Drew Bobo there because he just totally got caught on an island and didn't know which way was up and looking around left and right and where's my man and what's my zone and who am I? I mean, look, you feel for the guy, but I think last week some people were talking about on the show is just how our offensive line doesn't feel elite this year, and
it should have. I agree with you. Last year, I would have said, look, we're running behind Amarius Mims. 3rd and 1, and they were great. They're great on 4th down. I love this stuff. But I'm like, or you say run behind Broderick Jones. It's a guaranteed winner. Run behind left tackle, run behind right tackle.
Yeah.
To answer your question, Larkin, last year against Ole Miss, 52-17. Scored 14 first, 14 second. Right. 10 the 3rd, 14 the 4th. But to your point, okay. I really had to go search for that, Larkin. I did. I had to really go look for that.
I had fair point. I forgot about that game and loved every minute of it.
Because I did have to go search for that. I could not pull it off the top of my head for you.
Yeah, I forgot about that game. That was a true joy. As you know, what is standing on the sidelines, losing his mind, and that makes a lot of sense.
I do want to mention what Dog 85 says here is correct. Muschamp is an advisor during the week. He's not there during the game. We put that in my first Georgia 321 call at UGAsports.com, 27 cents a day. That he would not be there for Georgia games because he's going to Vandy to watch his son. So and that is. I mean, I put it in a column not to say, hey, here's a news nugget, but there's a guy that Kirby Smart talks to when games are on the line, when games are going sideways, when, hey, should we go for it here? Should we kick the point? Should we kick it or should we go for 2? He has the analytics, but he's also got a best friend who has coached 2 different SEC teams, who is one of the best and brightest in the business. And he's like, that is a resource to lean on. He also has 4 new coaches, not having Del McGee there's tough, not having Brian McClendon, tough, not, there's new guys around.
Yeah,
it's not having Will Muschamp.
New staff.
He won 2 titles with Will. So new staff, new guys. The only thing of all this that worries me, and I know we'll bring on Raleigh Dog and Dane here in just a second, is I'm not worried about, hey, they got to get an identity. I'm looking at all the different people talking about what's Georgia's identity, second guessing all of the play calling, the schemes, the approach, what are we, who's the big playmaker on offense, on defense. You just knew that Nolan Smith was going to make a play. You knew that like Jordan Davis is going to fix it. I don't care what's going to happen. Jordan's about to do something. Jalen Carter is going to pick up Jaden Daniels like he's a 2-year-old child who stole some candy and hold him in the air so his feet can't touch the ground. 3rd and 2, you knew somebody was going to stop him. You don't have that on offense. On defense, you don't have that guy on offense. So my question is, if you don't have an identity, we're all second guessing the scheme and the approach. Can you at least rely on execution? And right now, you can't.
You can't.
That
very
what
inconsistent.
Freaks me out is hey, can we at least rely on no penalties? No. Can't rely on that.
1st and 40.
Can you at least rely on no turnovers? 4 games, correct. The one game you got your heads kicked in, you gave up 4 plus a safety. So
4 plus safety. That's right.
So for
that's right.
Kicking game and turnovers, you've been good, except for one.
Well, what the reality is I think next week, we're going to have sort of a stroll in the park, and then 2 weeks we're either going to be, fat, dumb, and happy, or everyone's going to be on the show drinking and crying, and talking about 2025. So
thank you, Hunker.
All right. Well, guys, as always, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Mark, what do you do up there in Manhattan?
I am CFO of a real estate development company.
Damn it! Why is this not Larkin's show?
Damn, Larkin.
Hey, congratulations. Are you a Georgia grad?
No, I'm not. I went to Washington Lee undergrad, but I grew up. We had season tickets. My dad had season tickets. My grandfather had season tickets. So, I grew up a Georgia fan, and then I ended up going to Michigan for grad school. So the last 3 years I've had couldn't have been happier. I've had 3, into the college football season, happy 3 years in a row. So,
your boys aren't looking so hot against Washington right now.
No, they saw this year.
They're actually up 17-14 right now against Washington. So
yeah, but Washington's terrible. But
I'm going to tell my grandchildren that I was a therapist for the CFO of a large real estate developer in Manhattan. I'm putting that underneath intern at UGA Sports. I'm putting that right underneath there.
All right. Well, thanks, guys. And it's also nice to actually go to bed before 2 a.m. So,
brother, who you telling?
I think it took me like 3 days to get over that one. But
hey, Larkin, look, we got 13 minutes, so we're at 2 hours. I'm just
all right. Goodbye. Thank you. Love everything you guys do.
No, we're gonna let Paul go pee because it's about the time that he has to go.
That's pretty funny that you say that because I do have to pee.
You go. I'll bring on Dane.
Okay.
Dane.
Hey, boss.
Hey, we got Raleigh. Good. Raleigh Dog's still there. I thought he disappeared for him in a second. I was about to lose my mind. But Dane, give me your thoughts on the game, and then we'll bring on Raleigh Dog.
Well, Kirby Smart called out his fans after the game. That's a first.
Yeah. See, I missed the post-game comments. But we had people during the game going, it's dead here.
This was not in his post-game news conference. This was with DJ Shockley on the Georgia Bulldog Radio Network. I saw Fox 5. DJ Shockley also works for them. Put this out as well. I just put it out on Twitter and put it on the dog vent. People can hear him for himself. But he said, I'm a little disappointed. I probably disappointed in our fans for the first time. I thought there was a lack of affecting the game crowd noise-wise, passion and energy. It was hot, but our players have full pads on, helmets and pads. They were trying to push and have a home field advantage like we've had when we've played against teams, and I can't get crowd noise. That is the first time in 8 years I've heard anything like that from Kirby Smart. It's always been raving about Georgia crowd noise. So that's a storyline to come from this for sure. I have a take, and then I have a bit of a bit. Which one do you want first?
I'll take the take.
Cass Jones needs to touch the football more. And usually that's my bit. But this
that is your bit.
this is a take at this point of good things tend to happen when Cash Jones is getting the
No,
football
you're right.
in
Hey,
Georgia.
back-to-back weeks, he has been lights out. He's great in pass pro. He's great perimeter blocking. He can run. He can catch. Yeah, I've got no problem. But at the same time, it's like I say the same thing about everybody that said, "Hey, where's Nate Frazier?" I mean, we had 2 weeks of conspiracy theories about Nate Frazier. And I'm like, okay, I too want to see Nate Frazier. I came on after the Clemson game and said this kid could win a Heisman, knowing full damn well that they don't give the Heisman Trophy to running backs anymore. But I said this kid is different. He is special. But the reason I say, or my question to you is, how many of those touches do you want to take away from Trevor Etienne or Dylan Bell or an Arian Smith or Dom Lovett? Because it's really easy to say we want these other guys to have more, but whenever we say that, it's kind of like, okay, well, who do you want to get less?
Yeah, and this comes down to team identity, and we're talking about that. And my bit is brought to you by Hunker Bourbon from ASW Distillery, which that's what all my appearances on here are brought to you by. So, Mike Bobo has been in charge of Georgia's quarterbacks for 15 years, going back to 2001, right? He's called plays less of that time. I get it, but he was a quarterbacks coach early in the Rick tenure, called plays late in the Rick tenure, and then obviously has for the last 2 years. It has generated what we that follow Georgia online, the hashtag blame Bobo, or like it really doesn't matter what happens at Georgia. Like Bobo, maybe it's the name, it's the alliteration, it's the spelling. Like there's enough reason that Mike Bobo just gets blamed for everything. So in the pro wrestling move of counteracting that, there's something beautiful today of Mike Bobo's kid touched the damn ball on the first, to start every freaking play. So if you got Bobo hate out there, and maybe for some of you that's justified, I think he's done a fine job this year with what he's working with. If you have Bobo hate in your heart, you also had to fit in his son in there at center.
Dude, man, I had so many people in my comment section going, one Bobo wasn't enough. I'm like, fuck you, man. Excuse my language. It's like you're hating on a player just because of who his dad is, And again,
I actually didn't think Drew played that poorly, considering
I think on one of
first
those,
time big time college football.
Yeah,
he did
I think
fine.
one of those sacks might have been blamed on him.
Sure,
like that.
But Jared Wilson's given up sacks. Trey Hill gave up sacks.
It's not like your quarterback has been untouched until Drew got in there. Yeah. And again, the people who will tell you he only got a scholarship because his dad is Mike. I'm like, no, we cover recruiting, and we know that he had a real offer, and it wasn't just a courtesy one. He was committed to Auburn. He was going to go play there. He decommitted when his dad was hired here and committed to Georgia. He is on scholarship. His dad just isn't paying it. He's a scholarship player at the University of Georgia. He started and he won against the team that he was committed to. Think about it. If Jared Wilson, we broke the news on the Watch Along show, Jared Wilson's out due to a foot sprain. You'd have been, without him, you'd have gone to Tate Ratledge, who is out. So you were down to your third string center and you whipped Auburn's ass.
You beat Auburn 31-13 with your third string center.
So yeah, shout out to Drew. Drew's a good kid. I've known him since he was a child.
That's because
many years coached against him. He and my son wound up many times going head to head. And they're both badasses. So
that'd still be a battle. I've seen your kid. That'd still be a battle.
Yeah, there were people were bitching about, and yeah, okay, he had a busted play, but he also, was there any bobbled snaps? Were there any bad snaps? So shout out to Drew for having a good day, and I'm not going to, the sins of the father do not carry to the to the child. So if you want to bang on Mike, Mike's a grown ass man. You can make fun of him all you want, but leave his kid out of it.
Well, if anything,
the people that were bitching about Dan Jackson, I had a bunch of people bitching about Dan Jackson. I'm like, Dan's played back-to-back weeks. He's been one of your best players. Stop banging on Dan Jackson. And the ones who want to complain about Chaz Chambliss, I'm like, I didn't see Gabe Harris or Damon Wilson setting the edge much better.
Just in terms of what the offensive identity is, because I think we're still searching for that as people that follow Georgia, of like, what the hell is this offense?
Yeah.
Because you thought it was going to be Carson Beck in his arm, and you're like, well, when it really has to be Carson Beck in his arm, it doesn't seem like that's reliable enough. I thought today probably resembled more of what Georgia's offense is going to end up being, which is establish a running game more, although it's probably not Chubb and Michelle level, and throw to your weapons when they're available, although it's not Bowers and McConkey level, but really just try to find balance in there and make it where Carson Beck plays within a structure to where that final stat line probably ends up looking something like it did tonight in a lot of the wins. And then you lean on a defense that rarely gives up touchdowns. And they may not have given up a touchdown to Auburn if Janelle Aguero wraps up one tackle. So as much as I've heard people say they're concerned about Georgia's defense, I actually still have more concerns about the offense. I think Georgia will have to get in shootouts more throughout the year than maybe we were expecting.
Well, very, very, very possible. I'm concerned about everything except the kicking game. And even then, they're not kicking out of the back of the end zone, which is
you know what?
Like.
I'm concerned about the websites that write about Georgia. I'm just, that's where my concern lies right now. And that's the one that affects my bank account more often than that.
Yeah.
So,
Dog Fan 74, why are we afraid to take the ball away from Etienne if Frazier is better? You're going to have a hard time convincing me that Frazier is better at this point. I mean, he's good. Well, let's
bring in Raleigh Dog.
Bring him in.
All right. Raleigh Dog, thanks for hanging, bro.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me again.
What's up?
2 in a row. Paul, you peed.
I did. Yeah, I did.
That
Good
bladder,
stream.
That bladder's still owning you, huh?
Yeah, it's since day one, brother.
He's got a child bladder. To finish up the question, Raleigh, before we ask you what you thought, stats wise, Frazier had 7 carries for 38 yards. Etienne had 16 carries for 88 yards. Frazier is averaging 5.4 yards a carry, which is fantastic. Etienne is averaging 5.5 yards, which is almost the exact same. The difference is Etienne also was Georgia's leading receiver, 6 catches for 36 yards. And he also had 2 rushing touchdowns. So I'm not willing to pull Etienne right now for anybody. That's just me. Raleigh, what are your thoughts about the game or anything that's been said so far? What is on your wall? Do you have a billboard?
Wall.
Huh?
What?
You got a billboard award?
Yeah, I'm a recording artist by another name. That's a Billboard #1 record.
All right. So while you guys are talking about
Paul's going to work.
I'm gonna go to work here. Let's see.
Paul is doing some research.
My artist name is Brannon Murphy. BRANN.
I hear all you sons of bitches tag. They're all searching.
BRANN. Yep.
Got it. I'm on the Insta right now.
I'm too.
There we go.
You're a Christian singer?
Yeah, I'm a Christian artist. Yep, and a worship leader. Yep.
You just got to follow, my friend.
Let's go, baby.
Hey, can we play your music on here? Or is it gonna get? We're gonna get hit.
I would love if you did.
We'll get demonetized by your record album or by your representation.
Yeah, so a lot, depending on what songs you play, some of them are Sony music. They may not like that very much.
Yes, Sony.
Yeah, all right. Never mind. All
right, Ronnie, give us your thoughts on the game or whatever you want to talk about.
Hey, they'll be here before you even start talking, Ronnie.
Yeah, just play them anyway. I never said that.
I just like that we have a Christian artist on air the time that Hugh Freeze takes the L to Georgia. Like that.
No comment. No comment on that. First of all, Roddy, I don't like you sharing my secrets. Has nothing to do with me being a music artist, a recording artist. You said that someone watching the show donated $1 million after Alabama last year. I really don't appreciate that at all.
Yeah.
But
I mean, hey, I'm a journalist. You can't tell me secrets, man.
I do want my $1 million back, though.
Damn. Call for it back.
I'm kidding. Go Dogs.
That Lambo is bought, man.
You said what?
That Lambo's been leased.
I wanted to go on record for all of Dog Nation to say I had nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
Whatsoever. Today was frustrating. I know, I'm sure I haven't seen everyone who's called in. So if I'm beating a dead horse again, just move on in your programming. But one thing I texted to a friend of mine was, can we just have anything happen with ease in this game?
No.
There hasn't been anything that happened with ease this whole season.
That's what I mean.
That's what we were talking about earlier. I don't know if you were on, but we're talking about what is Georgia lacking. When I came on, Paul and Jason's like, why is it so hard? And I mentioned Dane said they were missing juice because, he's so hip and into it. I'm like, yeah, it's the penalties, the lack of tackling. You're right. Nothing has been.
Listen, Roddy, you don't. Juice is good. You'd rather have sauce, right?
Oh, see, now you're taking my shine. Like, what are we doing here?
He's right though. He's right though.
I know he's right. That's why I'm mad.
It's
he's right though.
You could have happiness or you could have joy. There's a big difference.
Whoa. Right? Oh, take me to church. Let's go.
Juice and we might have to. Juice and sauce. That's the difference. But I just have no confidence. Like, I have no confidence in what's going to happen in any given moment, any given play, I have no idea what's going to happen when the ball is snapped at any point. And that's very new, I think, for just the last 3 seasons in general, or specifically, but just with a Kirby Smart team, you kind of got an idea of like what's going to happen. And man, like, I never thought that 3 different times when the down and distance was beyond 15 yards, 2nd and 17, 3rd and 18, 3rd and 14, whatever, that Auburn would convert. I think they converted 3 of those tonight.
Yeah, there were, and I definitely remember 2. Out of a 3rd and 11, 3rd and 15, and they converted both. 3rd and 12, and you converted both of them. And coach was losing his damn mind.
I was losing my mind.
Well, I'm saying it's he takes things he understands the ebb and flow of a game. He doesn't overreact like the rest of us do. Yeah. But even when coach is frustrated with it, he's like, you schemed him right or made the right call, or your outside guy gets hooked to the inside and they call up a good edge play and Georgia just doesn't get there. He's like, damn it, you can see the frustration. So I'm with you there. There was it's just nothing smooth offensively or defensively.
Yeah, it's wild to feel so good because this was the story of today, and it's kind of been a picture of the season, but definitely today it's like one moment I felt really, really good. I'm like, that was good execution. We've got a lead. Oh my gosh, we've scored a first half touchdown. Like feeling good one moment, and then the very next moment just livid, like what is happening. But I think one of the things that and maybe this is like obvious to you guys, but I kind of want to hear what you had to say about it. But we've been talking about offensive identity, how we're still looking for that, and how the offense has an execution problem, no question. But I really think it comes down to the fact that this offense never seems to be in rhythm. Like specifically, that to me is the key to the team being successful this year. Is if somehow we can figure out what it looks like and feels like to be in rhythm. I even thought, like, I was one of the times I was most upset was actually the final drive of the game, which sounds crazy because the game was over. But we're breaking off runs. Frazier's running. I'm like, with 3 minutes left, we might run the actual offense and score again, because this is
it mattered to some.
I think it should matter to everyone. I think it should matter to our coaching staff. And I'm not trying to throw Kirby or Bobo into I understand they have their reasons for why things happen at the end of the game. But it seemed like we were just gonna play football for the last, in that last 3.5 minutes, and it was happening. And then snap your fingers and it's 1st and 40. Literally 1st and 40. And I'm like, that right there.
He said literally. He said literally.
Yeah. No, not exaggerating. It was literally 1st and 40, y'all.
It was.
When they called both of them back to back, I was like, damn, I'm not good with math. I'm like, how far are they about to? And then they had to take the shot, right? That's normally like kind of tight, and it's just to the 10-yard line. They took that shit all the way back, and you're looking at the whole field.
You remember the sky cam thing? You know, they had to go up to the zippy sky cam.
Yeah, the blimp is now the main shot is with the first down marker way down there.
You think Lawson Lucky's going to buy Xavier Trust dinner for being like, hey, thanks for doing something dumber than I did on that play?
Okay, here's
Appreciate
the thing, though. Do y'all remember in 2021, actually in the national championship game in 2021 against Alabama, I don't think it was Truss, but Georgia had an offensive lineman. I'm sure I'll think of it. Georgia had an offensive lineman who throughout the year was like kind of known for coming in and trying to clean up the pile. And I think in the third quarter, maybe fourth quarter,
he surfed on top of a big group. Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Came in, they're like 8 or 9 guys. He comes and lands on top of them. Yes.
And I saw it from the 300 section in Indy, and I was so scared we were about to get a late hit penalty.
Was that true?
I think it was Jordan Schaefer.
Jordan Schaefer, that's who it was. It was definitely Jordan Schaefer. So I actually thought that the call on Truss, y'all might think I'm nuts, but I thought the call on Truss was like ticky tack. I was like, that happens all the time. I didn't think it was that late.
It was because it was open field, though. If that happens in the trenches, you never see it, but it happened out there.
Just because it was a long gain and there was no need for it. Yeah.
It's the timing of it. If he's
now listen, I'm in no way trying to get Truss off the hook. He's a moron for doing that. But
wait, was it Solomon Kinley?
No, that would have been Kinley wasn't on that team.
No, Kinley wasn't there.
He's older than that.
Yeah,
he did a couple of those though.
Solomon was known for that as well. The late heroics there.
I think you're actually right, but he wasn't. It wasn't in 2021. It was definitely Justin Schaefer.
Raleigh Dog. There was one play call that I was like massively frustrated by, but it worked out for Georgia. So like people aren't going to talk about it because of the result. The 4th and 1 run from the shotgun ETN at the end. Like you're doing that on your own 30. It's a 2-score game, like 5 minutes left. Like that may be the dumbest thing I've seen Georgia do at least this season, but going back to like last year, it worked out for Georgia. Fine. You can play the result on that. But like, if that's your thing, freaking call the sneak. It has a higher percentage of probability of working than what they did.
We saw it.
Again, I don't know that you can do the sneak.
Right. We saw it last week when they went to Cass Jones on 4th down. They should have ran the sneak there. The sneak is not in the arsenal. The sneak is not.
Well, again, I don't know that you.
Carson sneaked in the first. He did a sneak for a first down in the first quarter.
Yeah, once.
But I'm just saying.
But I get you that it's not in the arsenal. Like it's not something we do regularly. I agree with you there. I'm with Dane. I don't. Once again, the story of the entire season is I don't know what I'm supposed to feel or think really about anything because on one hand I'm like, well, I like the aggression of going for it on 4th down to try to take this game to the end, but I don't love the play call
because you made it where your running back had to gain 4 yards. Like that was your choice.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we talk about like the aggression. Okay, last week, after the Kentucky game, everybody was bitching about Mike Bobo not being aggressive. So he comes out against Alabama, aggressive as hell, throwing it deep. Hey, it's dropped. Throws it deep again, offensive pass interference. Okay, well, he's going aggressive, and now you're looking at 3rd and 10. Georgia was in third and 7.5 yards on average in that Alabama game.
Yeah, bad.
So this year they're like, well, why do you run it on 1st down? So that 2nd and 3rd aren't that bad because if you're looking at 2nd and 5, you got 2 plays to get 5 yards. You can do a lot of stuff, but if you throw it on 1st down and you miss, like Georgia did a lot today, not a ton, but there were a couple of them, and then you run it on 2nd down, now you're like 3rd and 7. You're back there again. We said against Alabama, Georgia needs to be aggressive and come after him, and they need to come after Peyton Thorne. Okay, they did. And they got burned by both those running quarterbacks. So while we sit here and tell them to be more aggressive, there is a downside to it, and we've seen it in kind of back-to-back weeks. One you lost, one you won. So you got to be careful. Again, my whole thing with you, I'm like, I would feel like I know this team, know this offense, know this defense, know what we have, Again, we're 4-1 if you look at the records. If they were executing differently.
Yeah. I mean,
and even if they couldn't, let me interrupt. Last thing I want to say, if you
that's not the last thing
couldn't do it, yeah, and you're a terrible team. You're a directional school that just doesn't have the bodies. You don't have the guys capable of doing it. You're like, well, we can't execute it because you don't have the talent. But we've seen that they do. Yeah. Each one of these guys that made a mistake has also flashed. Each guy that's got a holding call, has pancaked somebody. Each guy that drops a pass makes a huge catch. Your quarterback sets records. Your running backs can do it. Your defensive guys can stop the run. They can stop the pass. They knock down passes. Everybody can do it, but they just don't do it consistently. So I think that's why we're all here staring at our navels going, what the hell's going on? You're winning, but who are we?
A lot of what you're talking about is what I'm saying. To me, it's just rhythm. It's offensive rhythm. And you can't be in rhythm. One of my other notes just under that is like this team just lives on third down on offense. And you can't get in rhythm if you're constantly having to convert third downs, and then you're not really doing that at a very good clip. This is kind of there's got to be plays that break off on first and 10, on second down, period. Doesn't even matter what the distance is. Like, you got to convert on second down. And Kirby said that, like, we're not good on third down because we're not good on first and second down, and that just continues. So I think specifically, though, there were times where it was a little better today, but we've got to find rhythm on offense.
So it's October 5th. You're saying we got to find rhythm on offense. I'm saying Georgia hasn't locked in its offensive identity. We're all kind of saying the same thing. At what date does that become Georgia's offense just isn't that good?
Well, I think that's a fair question, but to Roddy's point, we've seen Dylan Bell make big plays. We've seen Dom Lovett even, do it at times. I'm not saying
Arian Smith taking off.
Yeah. I mean, how much do we say that, like, not having Jared Wilson and not having Tate Ratledge makes a difference in that whole equation too?
Absolutely does. Yeah, you'd be much better with those two in the front there.
You're down 2 starters. How much did not having Spano Munden affect you tonight?
That's in my notes too, Roddy.
Yeah, I'm just saying. It's who was it that said the revolving injuries? So again, it's stick these. Good. He said, a lot of revolving injuries. So Monday we got to speak to Spano Munden. Saturday he's on crutches.
Does anyone know what happened?
We heard foot. I heard something else. I kind of alluded to it in my 3-2-1 that was more serious than that. Seeing him on crutches does mean it's on lower leg, your lower extremity. So I'm glad it's not the thing that I heard. But at the same time, I'm like, well, how long is he going to be on crutches? Crutches is not good. So
what about Jared Wilson? Was there
we broke the news on the watch along. It's a foot sprain.
So SEC championship. Is that?
No.
Yeah.
I mean, he warmed up today, so
I think he would just say
Jordan Hall's
now
been warming up
on.
for about 9 weeks now.
Yeah, I'd like to see Jordan Hall back out there too. But
Chris Lazarick says this show sucks. A bunch of whining bees. It is still early in the season. We can improve. Stop sitting around blaming personnel and coaches. This is the overreaction show, Chris.
I don't think I've blamed the coach yet.
I don't know.
maybe the comment section. Hey, Chris. You're right.
Okay.
But who would you like us to blame?
For Chris, here's one for Chris, because I was, this is pretty consistent to how I was on the show last week. Anytime you beat Auburn is a big deal for Georgia. So two things can be true at once. There are a lot of things to fix on this team, and we are not used to seeing so much ineptitude. At the same time, I went back and looked, in 2021, Georgia beat Auburn 34-10, won a national championship. That was 31-13 today. The year after that at home, 42-10, 31-13. I mean, it's 10 points more on offense, but if you're just looking at the scoreboard, that's not bad. I mean,
it could look,
at the same time.
Look, Raleigh, it could be a lot worse. You could be an FSU fan, right? You went undefeated last year. You're about to be 1-4, 1-5. You could be an Auburn fan. You thought Hugh Freeze was going to be your savior, and now he's throwing every player that you have under the bus. I mean, there's levels to this shit, right? There's levels to everything. And this is where we are at watching this Georgia program, having Georgia fanatics on the show, is this level of ball is not up to the standard that we've been used to at Georgia, but it's still 95% of the teams in the country, 99% of the teams would take this Georgia team over their roster, over their head coach, over their offensive coordinator, everything.
Totally agree.
But it's not what we expect at Georgia and not what we've become accustomed to. And who is that to blame? Is it the standard that has been set by Kirby Smart that it just can't be lived up to with this particular team? Who knows? But yes, I get where people are coming from. Like, yeah, you guys are complaining, It could always be a whole hell of a lot worse. You could be an Auburn fan right now going, where is up? Hugh Freeze is throwing every one of our guys under the bus, and we're not going to field a team by the time we play Alabama. Nobody was going to want to play for him.
Yeah, did everybody notice Coach Freeze on the sideline with his quarterback there?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, he made sure to say after the game that he was asked the question, so it's not like he was just volunteering everything. He handled it in a kind of judicious way. But he did say, yeah, on that play, Peyton Thorne is supposed to hand the ball off, and it's not a read. He's not supposed to read or keep anything. And you saw what happened.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
Kirby Smart would never.
Where was he going to run, though, if they'd handed it off?
Look,
he was supposed to run.
Hey,
Jalen was right there at the mesh. Jalen would have killed him.
Hey, I'm with Amari. I was going to say after Paul's diatribe, you could be an Alabama fan tonight.
Yeah, you just lost your best head coach of all time, right? And you get this other guy, and he just beats Georgia, and then you go to Vandy and you get beat. Like, it could be that.
So here's something.
Hey, Matthew, how do you know he's not on the show? How do you know he's not on the show, Matthew? I'm just saying.
How do you know he's not talking to you right now?
How do you know he's not here right now?
No. Here's something I want to say to the Bama thing. We know, some of the obvious reasons or the obvious ways that college football looks more like the NFL. Everybody has a problem with my lamp, apparently.
Dude, it's a big deal. It's a big deal in the chat right now. I don't think that people know that they make those now. Where they can change colors like that. It's a big deal. It is.
You can get a bulb like that off Amazon or Target or anything for like $15.
Whoa. If Amazon or Target want to sponsor us, then you can say that. But until they do, no, sir. Unless ASW Distillery makes that light bulb, I don't want to hear about it.
We will drop in an affiliate link in the comment section.
Yeah, that's what he really came in here for. He's a multi recording artist, but he also sells that exact light bulb that's got Doc going crazy.
Hey, that's how he got the gold record, man. We know that ain't his. I can see it says Jimmy Buffett on it. You liar. You got that at a state sale.
Jimmy Buffett was an Auburn guy, right?
Yeah.
Can we stay on topic?
Mr. Larkin bought it for him.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I never knew my lamp would cause so much controversy. I wonder if what we're seeing with just obviously we talk about NIL and things like that. It's going to start a fire.
John, this is funny, John, because we have Eddie waiting behind Raleigh. He says Eddie from Ackworth pays Drew Bobo's NIL.
Fantastic. But what I want to say is, does it not seem like college football is looking more like the NFL in this way, that teams don't seem in the NFL, the New York Giants can lose by 40 and the very next week can win by 4 touchdowns.
Yeah.
I feel like there's at least a little bit more of that happening in college football now. I mean, Arkansas just scored to make it 14-10. And that's a really good Tennessee team. That's a 4-point game. Alabama just lost to Vanderbilt. How did that even happen?
So I think some of that always exists, but it's the crazy tethers because there's so many teams in college football. The fact that Diego Pavia played at a military school in New Mexico before he played at New Mexico State and helped lead them to a win at Jordan-Hare Stadium last year. And he and his head coach then go to Vanderbilt and beat big ol' Alabama.
Yeah.
In what is not even a good home like atmosphere. Like that's something that does not happen in the
and that's
NFL
what I'm
because it
saying.
is so structured.
Is the playing field just leveling a bit? Like, should we be so concerned about X team losing to Y team?
I think your question is, are there like elite dominant teams? And I asked Coach Donnan this even off air, and the only one we came up with is like Ohio State probably looks like the best version of that right now. But like, have they been tested? Like, we don't have the answers to know that yet. We'll know next week. If they go out to Eugene and win by 20, yeah, Ohio State's easily the best team in the country right now.
I don't want to toot my own horn here, Raleigh, but I said this, I think 2 years ago on the show. I said with NIL coming into play, it was going to even out teams drastically compared to what they were prior to. And we're kind of seeing that now.
Well,
so
let me ask you, Roddy, without NIL, Luther Burden, is he at Missouri?
Hell no.
Okay.
But that's what I told people when NIL came around. I said, look, you're going to have certain teams go all in on one or two guys, and that is going to make it tougher for Georgia, the Alabamas, the Ohio States, the Clemsons to stock up. You're going to see a little bit of parity, but how much parity can you get with one or two stars on each team? So a Luther Burden and a Williams Nwaneri, 2 5-stars, they go to Missouri. Missouri's good, but then didn't they lose today?
But they didn't just lose; they got boat raced.
I'm just saying, certain teams can go in and pool all their money onto a 5-star wide receiver or running back or defensive end or offensive lineman. You know, Tennessee went and got Nico. He's doing wonders for them. They did the same thing with David Sanders. They offered him way more than Georgia was ever going to offer him. David Sanders is going to be a great offensive tackle at the next level. Love that dude. Love his whole family. I'll root for him when he's not playing against Georgia. But it's tough for all of them to go. You saw what happened at Texas A&M. They spent $30 million, and it was a cluster. So it's it can be weird.
Last year, 18 of the top 30 5-stars on Rivals, different teams. So 18 different teams out of the 30 with a 5-star.
See, get out of here with your facts and figures.
Wow.
Now, I do think it is interesting that a Diego Pavia can do what he did at New Mexico State last year and then get brought up to the SEC this year. And I wonder how much more it just cannibalizes itself that way.
See, that's also where the Georgias and the Ohio States and the Ole Misses and the Texas and the rich can also get richer using the portal. You know, that's like, hey, we're going to take our money and we're going to get some good, talented players.
Right.
Vandy that's a completely different situation, but that's where Georgia can't stack 5-stars like Cordwood based on, hey, we're putting more guys in the NFL. Other teams can say, look, you can go to Georgia or you can come to Presbyterian College and get, we're putting all our money in on one guy, and that kid goes there. I get it. So
when I said earlier that I have no confidence in what's going to happen on any given player, it's hard to have confidence in this team. I just don't know what the result is going to be, or I don't have a good prediction of that in my head.
Nobody does.
Is that more indicative, just to the conversation we're having now, is that more indicative to Georgia's issues or just the state of the sport?
I think it's probably the state of the sport, honestly, but it's
little column A, little column B.
Yeah. I was gonna say it's a little bit of both. You got a little. You're mixing it, yeah. And just to keep going with this class of 2018, the 5-stars, there was 8 schools that got a 5-star in 2018 as opposed to 18 last year.
My final point, and I'm gonna slide out after this because Eddie's been waiting a while, and I know William's back there too. There is a point, Raleigh, that I think that college football is changing to be a little bit more like NFL, but this is also the world of like influencer culture. And it's not going to be enough just to like be a good team that wins. I do think there's an entertainment factor here. And when Kirby Smart is calling out his fans also after a 31-13 victory.
What happened with that?
That's kind of crazy, bro. I'm not gonna lie.
Kirby Smart called out his fans in his radio postgame chat with DJ Shockley. I put it on the dog vent. I also tweeted it out as well. He said he was disappointed in the fans. They didn't have the home field advantage that they normally have.
He said disappointed?
He said disappointed. Yeah.
Wow.
He said, I'm a little disappointed. I'm probably disappointed in our fans for the first time. I thought this was a lack of effect in the game.
There we go.
It was a great victory for Georgia. Tell you what, it was hot out there today, Shock. And if anything, to be honest, I'm a little disappointed. And I'm probably disappointed in our fans for the first time that I thought there was, a lack of really affecting the game, crowd noise wise, passion and energy. And hey, it was hot, but our players got full pads on, helmets, pads, and it's hot out there. And they're pushing, trying to have a home field advantage like we've had when we've played against teams. And I can't get crowd noise, and that's frustrating for me. So I just be honest about it. I think we got to do a better job as fans. And I know I got to do a better job as a coach, but we need these fans to support us, and these players need them behind them. It was a great victory.
Y'all, I'm shocked. I've never heard him say anything like that.
Right.
Does that feel like a big deal to y'all?
Oh, it's a massive deal to me.
But he's right. It's a big deal.
Couple things at play. One, the state is recovering from a pretty devastating hurricane. I mean, I had friends of mine that are season ticket holders in the Augusta area that just left my house yesterday after a week here. So, there's a little bit of just even if people showed up, they may not have had the juice that they normally would, Roddy. As I said the same. But the other part of it, this is influencer culture of college football. And if you're not putting out an entertaining product, and all the stuff we're saying about Georgia's offense, I think we can agree it's not as entertaining as some previous Georgia offenses.
Well, you get a point there, but I do think it's more of a
true.
We don't know what to expect from this team. Texas and all these other schools don't know what to expect from theirs. Alabama, you go from a seismic win. These people are on cloud 9. We lost Saban. We were pulling our hair out. The new guys still beats Georgia. Greatest. We got a wide receiver who's going to win the Heisman. We got a quarterback who's going to win the Heisman, and you lose to Vandy.
Unbelievable.
Down the road.
And in 2 weeks, that may not matter as much. How much are we talking about? How much are we talking about Notre Dame losing to Northern Illinois? Notre Dame's right back in the mix of everything.
Yeah.
I didn't think they would be, but yeah. So you're right. Hey, Kevin Guy Bob, thanks for the $5.
Yes, thank you.
Family loves your reaction. He did the same thing on the watch along.
So which one does he love more? Let's see. I don't know.
He just loves Roddy, man.
Screw you.
Yeah.
Hey, Jermaine says the fans feed off the team. Hey, some folks saying game's too expensive. I'll tell you, William Carlin was at the game. I know him personally. He was at the game. He can tell us how the crowd noise was. None of us.
I'm going to slide out and let y'all chat with him.
All right. See you, Dane.
Have a good night, y'all.
All right, brother.
If y'all need to let me go, you can. Hey, Roddy, I had a couple of quick things. First of all, I do, if it's okay, I want to shout out my hometown, Louisville, Georgia, Jefferson County, which was pretty decimated by the hurricane. And just thankful that from everything that I've heard, no one has been hurt, injured, killed, anything like that. So thank God for that. And been praying for my hometown, and I'm glad that people are doing well. We're going to be okay. But God have mercy on the Southeast right now, and so many places in Georgia. Roddy, when Larkin was on and he mentioned Thomasville, and you were trying to find the player who you were trying to think of who came, were you thinking of Ray Drew?
No.
Ray Drew was Valdosta.
He was Thomas County.
It was Thomas County Central.
Mm-hmm.
Was he?
Yeah. That's what I thought you were.
I got some funny Ray Drew stories. He used to hang out at my house.
Oh, I knew y'all were friends. I've heard about that before.
Yeah. His Newport. Yeah.
All right, let's bring on William. He's been waiting. What happened to Eddie?
Yeah, I don't know where Eddie went.
He's probably in the crapper.
Yeah, probably.
All right, William Carlin.
There he is.
How was the biggest cheer of the day? Was when they showed Vanderbilt's touchdowns on the Megatron.
That's kind of
that's good.
That's funny you say that, Mr. Willie, is because Kirby was trying to get the crowd. That was right before the fourth down play. Yep. Kirby was trying to get the crowd. He was out there trying to get them to be quiet, and I was like, why are they yelling in the middle of it? And then they showed on TV game break. They went over to panned to the jumbo screen. I was like, dude, Vanderbilt must have just scored a touchdown. They sure did.
They showed on the break on the it was. I mean, it's like, that one guy that stands up the whole game, he's 2 rows in front of me. So, it was dead. Now the first drive you know how they got that BS decibel meter up there on the scoreboard?
Yeah.
You know, that first drive, it was up there in the 100 range or whatever. And that was pretty much it. It was pretty subdued. Now, the fourth down stops was pretty rowdy and good. And I'll say, man, they you're talking about the Hugh Freeze throwing Thorne under the bus. From where I was looking at it from, he was like, look, I'm going to run the ball right here. Okay, y'all, I'm going to run the ball right here. Y'all block him. And it's like he did. And, you know, the whole team's all over him type of thing.
We were all over it, that's for sure.
And, but yeah, he stood there before the snap twice going, block that guy. I'm going to run that over there.
Nice.
So anyhow, I guess the other big observation that I had from the game, and I don't know, if you call it missed assignments or what, but those, what did they have, a dozen little swing passes go for 10, 15, 20 yards or whatever? On every one of those, that whole side of the field was wide open. There may have been one guy out there. But you know, it was just, there was nobody out there with that guy.
That was infuriating to watch.
And it was frustrating to see that, you know, they would have them, like you said, 3rd and 17 or 3rd and 7 even. And they just went, throw it out there and first down. Type of situation on that was frustrating.
What do you think? You've been a season ticket holder, goodness gracious, for 50-something years. What do you think about Kirby Smart coming out and saying the crowd needs more out of the crowd? They weren't as good. What do you feel? That's what
I started with is it was dead.
So he has a right. What I'm getting at.
That's what I'm saying. I've never been to a conference here. Now, you know, the non-conference games and stuff, yeah.
Sure, Tennessee Tech's of the world, right?
But I've never been to a conference game where you sat down over half the game. You know? You stood up the whole game.
What's the reason behind that, though?
I was wondering that while I was there. I think maybe part of it is that, you know, you did lose a game last week.
Right.
And you did lose a game to get into the playoffs last year. And you have won 2 natties the 2 years before that. So you're maybe a bit too haughty or a bit too, you know,
entitled.
This team isn't as good as those last 2 teams. Type of thing.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, and I'm not trying to make excuses for myself or anybody else that was in the stadium. I will say this: the stadium was damn packed.
Yeah,
I mean, and you know, you watch other games, you know, to pour 95,000 people in there after this hurricane, and God bless those folks in East Georgia.
Yeah.
You know, that stadium was packed, and a lot of the part of the world.
People texting me saying this crowd is. I'm at the game. We get a lot of updates and stuff while I'm sitting there doing the show with Coach. He's saying this crowd is dead. So it's the quietest I've ever been in a Georgia game. This place is just god awful. So, I mean, I'm not.
Hey, Mr. William.
Yeah.
Whoever else. Do you think that the lack of crowd noise is any of it due to the fact that we've been owning Auburn for the last decade plus, 15 years, that this rivalry isn't as competitive?
That's a good point.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. If it had been Alabama in there, it'd have been a whole different story.
It'd have been sideways.
Like, I remember coming for.
I tell them to get up for Vandy.
Okay, that's the one thing that I never thought I would say when they announced the schedules back in the day. We dodged the Vandy bullet, man.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Oh, it's funny.
Hey, give me Ole Miss and Texas on the road, but damn it, I'm so glad we don't have to go to Nashville this
We
year.
don't have to go to Nashville.
Woo, we dodged that bullet, baby.
Wow. Hey,
But-
we're laughing, but I do not want to play them. Not right now.
Nah, you could go.
Oh.
They've had their high. They're done. It's over.
Yeah,
You could
I'm
go
not
back.
saying I'm scared we would lose to them, but that I don't, you know.
But I think you had a good point. Chris Garcia says Auburn has become a lesser opponent because of them moving to it early in the season. That's part of it. And,
Oh, maybe so.
and then
Because
the crowd,
listen, I remember.
Kirby's 9-1 against them. You don't tell the fans, hey, we need you to get excited against Tennessee Tech.
Yeah.
Everybody came in this game expecting to win. You were a 21-point favorite.
Listen,
I'll bet you that stadium will be rocking when Tennessee comes in.
It'll be sideways, but they're not going to be up for Mississippi State.
No.
I just remember coming to see Georgia play Auburn, and I came to the blackout in 2007, and it was insane. In that play, anytime you play Auburn was just this is Auburn. You know what I mean? You brought your A game as a fan when it's Auburn, and it just doesn't feel like that anymore. So I wonder if that just has something to do.
But also, Mr. Willie, y'all seats are behind the visitors. It was pretty hot out there, though. I mean, was it not?
God, yeah. But
Kirby said his players were hot. He doesn't care.
I get that, but you're also stuck between these mouth breathers all around you. You know, it's hot. It's hot.
Yeah.
It should be loud.
Okay. Mississippi didn't go to the game. It's going to be hot first.
Yeah. See, that's how I know it's hot. If Miss Sue doesn't show up, that's the hot factor for me. It is hot.
And
I don't know that the heat factor. I wasn't at the game.
I've been to games where it's boiling ass.
You're in Raleigh,
It's still loud and rowdy.
Yeah, you're right. You're
That's
right.
what I'm
I don't
saying.
see
Does
the
that really
heat
matter?
being loud one. I think it just was not intensity for the game because Auburn is just not that well respected anymore. After the game, we're leaving, and all the Auburn fans were still in a good mood, hopping and skipping around, having a big time. I said, dang, these folks are getting used to this losing thing, man. You know.
They just want to go party in Athens tonight.
They're just glad Harson's not there anymore.
Yeah.
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 Maybe they were headed downtown.
Yeah.
Real quick, guys, let me do a update. Florida State's about to lose to Clemson 29-13. Only 31 seconds left there. Ohio State, Boise State, I don't care. Boise State's going to win that one. Tennessee, Arkansas, 14-10.
Actually, 14-13.
14-13.
Arkansas
Okay.
State to kick a field goal, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Washington, Michigan. Is Washington still beating Michigan?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Michigan,
It
the
was
number 10
tied
team.
last I saw it.
Yeah, it's
Washington's
24,
terrible. They're
24,
beating Michigan. So, and then USC and Minnesota tied up. Again, the number 10 team losing to an unranked team. The number 11 team ranked tied with the number 7 unranked team. Number 1 team falls to an unranked team. The reason I bring all this up is kind of going back to what you were saying. Who feels comfortable that they know what the hell they're going to? Ole Miss was supposed to be this offensive fire hose, and then they lost last week. I don't know that college football is set. I know Ryan Williams is damn good. Carson Beck.
Did you know he's 17 years old?
I don't know.
It's got to be 17 and a half by now.
You knew he was 17, right, Roddy?
I will kill you. Jesus.
Mr. Willie, I don't want to hold you up too long. I appreciate you calling in.
Oh, appreciate you putting me on, Paul.
You the man. Love you.
Take care.
See ya.
Tell Eddie from Ackworth to get his ass back in here.
Hey, Eddie, come on. I know you're still watching.
Roddy, that's exactly my point, though.
That's what I'm saying. I was trying to help you out, make you look.
Yeah. You said it more eloquently than I did.
Hey, I need you to do me a musical mix.
All right.
Okay, so I saw a mashup of some country song talking about "Ain't No Love in Oklahoma" with Soulja Boy.
Okay.
Have you heard this?
I have. This is already a thing, is what you're saying?
It's already a thing. It exists. So you have the dun 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 part coming from Soulja Boy, and then you have is it Luke Bryan or It's from the Twister soundtrack, you know. And the guy's singing about how there ain't no love in Oklahoma or something. It's a brilliant mashup.
With the Soldier Boy loop, that's crazy.
Yeah. So my thought, there's got to be a Georgia song out there, maybe No More Play in GA or something, or some country song that you add that Soldier Boy loop to it, that hook that they have. And all of a sudden we got a new Georgia banger that we're playing instead of Bob O'Reilly.
Yeah, it's about time for that. We're long overdue for that, for sure.
So, I mean, you got the keyboard behind you. I know you can grab tracks and move some stuff around. So
right here, right now.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying. But I don't know what the second song is. But the Soldier Boy thing could be huge for Georgia. It could be their third. Instead, I'm not taking out Krypton, but it could be maybe between the first and second quarter. You play that and you hear Soldier Boy start up, but then all of a sudden you've got a country song lyrics with it. It could be a monster. So
some of my songwriter friends in Nashville. Most of them.
I'll just throw that in there. Yeah.
You done?
It says Bee Gees on that Billboard award.
Hey, real quick. John's asking about really like to know where Triple G is. I would too, man. I know Thomas County got hit with the hurricane. I hope he's all right. I have not heard from Triple G. We hadn't seen him a couple weeks. I hope he's doing good.
Yeah, I think most of the damage was more to the east. Well, my friends of mine in Thomasville have more or less been okay. I hope the same for him.
Well, I hope Triple G is. I miss him.
Yeah. I'll say this to that question, Roddy. I've actually talked about it with some, because there are some pretty crazy dogs, as you can see in the music, industry and in all kind of genres. We know Quavo, of course, but like just country artists and country writers and things like that. I've actually talked with a couple of them, like about a Georgia themed song or something like that. But I will say this: you are flirting with the cheese ball line.
Oh, it's hard, man. That's why I'm like,
most people don't want to touch it, because name me a Georgia football song, and I'm no offense.
No, they're all bad. That's why I'm saying, take a Georgia related song, maybe something from a Georgia artist that's completely not about Georgia football, but gets people hyped up. There's some damn good country songs out there, and you have that genre crossover.
Right.
You bring in the Luke Bryan people, not the Florida Georgia line. I have nothing to do with those guys, but someone along that genre. You bring them in, and you bring in the Soldier Boy. Oh, what you talked about, that blackout game. You bring that, you play that over the speakers. Georgia fans are going to go sideways, and then you give them something, a hook that they can sing, and Kirby won't be complaining about the crowd noise because people will be going bonkers. But you crank up, I want to know if you'll be my girl.
Yeah, bro, it's so tone deaf. It's not like it's gotta change. I'm with you there. I think it needs to be non-football specific, which sounds like that's what you're saying. Like,
that's exactly what I'm saying. Non-football,
you just need
hell, even Ludacris couldn't do a good Georgia song.
I was gonna say like or Quavo or like.
Well, Baby has a UGA football song. I didn't know that. And then Callie Vision says Radidi Nabolki.
Hey, this ain't baby oil behind me.
Oh, Diddy! You have a Diddy party?
Yikes! That's a big yikes. So, the Falcons have the swag surf, and
so does Auburn.
Back in the day,
that's why to me it's an Auburn thing. So
it's an Auburn thing. I don't
listen. Dude, Auburn goes again between third, fourth quarter. All of a sudden, that entire Jordan Hare Stadium is swag surfing. All of a sudden, Atlanta does, and I'm like, man,
the Benz on Thursday night was lit, bro. It was crazy.
Well, at halftime, dog.
Yeah, and 2007, the blackout game against Auburn was lit before we even used that word. So I think to your point, like you need something that just like it's non-football specific, but it just moves people like that. Yeah, it's pretty. I think it's
I guarantee you, Bubba Sparks was all over this game. He's a huge Georgia fan. But again, that's a guy that you thought would have knocked one out of the park. But again, I need that crossover. I love all my rap music. I listen to a ton of it. This week I've been listening to mariachi covers of big hits.
Yeah,
it's awesome. But I'm just saying, the fan experience, getting the fan hyped up. I know Kirby wants them to make. And there are a couple times remember how they come out and want to go try to trick the other team. We're going for it on fourth down, and you get really loud and you make the other team jump off sides and you get the automatic first down because they jumped off, or you get some procedure penalties. Kirby's been able to get the crowd to do that for him. He asked them to come out early, and they come out and they get really loud. And I mean, remember when Arkansas came in undefeated and they had like 5 procedure penalties because they couldn't hear a damn thing? It's what Kirby wants. He wants that hook, but you're not going to get it against a garbage Auburn team. You're not going to get it against the Mississippi State. Well, when Tennessee gets here, though, that place will be sideways. And I'm telling you, if they do a little something they don't kill the vibe with their music, don't be playing HOTTOGO.
What the hell is that? What is that? Where did that come from? What is that recent?
They did it in the first game.
No, I'm just asking, like, where did that song come from? Where did that song come from? It just popped up randomly one day. Is it a TikTok song? Has it been around forever?
Let me check my Spotify. I can tell you.
To Rocky's point,
what's her name?
Don't stop believing in Baba O'Reilly. It ain't helping nothing. And
don't stop. Yeah. Okay, I got Cinnamon on here from Nina Simone. I got to get back to
So it's a song. Hot to Go is from 2023. Chapel Roan.
Yeah. So it's a meme where somebody comes out and says, "I hope she plays Hot to Go," and they go, "No, this is a Georgia football game." And then of course they show the team playing it, and they did it in the stadium. And 17,000 co-eds did that meme. They put it on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and I was ready to kill myself. But again, you can play up to the crowd, but you know what really gets them excited? A long pass.
Points.
A tackle for loss.
Okay, can I ask a question?
Execution will get yes, I understand you can cheer to get execution, or you can cheer from execution.
Just general execution.
The former, the latter is much easier. But if Kirby's asked the fans to do that, he's challenged them to, and they have. But it's tough against was he disappointed at Tennessee Tech?
Question, Roddy. Yeah. Just because I don't, when you're watching the game, it's hard to always pay attention to more than just the ball. Was Auburn playing? Were they taking away a lot of the deep stuff? Because I don't remember. Now, there's a stat that I saw on ESPN. Do y'all know that Carson Beck was 20 of 20 from on passes of 15 yards or less, which I know can incite a lot of different reactions. But 20 of 20 is pretty good.
43 of 29 for the day.
But the question, though, is, were they taking away the deep stuff? Were we not why did we not throw deep to Arian or anyone once? Or did we?
That is a perfect question for Film Don't Lie.
Yeah.
They'll probably have that.
Well, honestly. I mean, sometimes they play 2 high safety. Sometimes he doesn't have enough time to do it. I mean, it's
that could be it.
I'll put it to you this way.
A pretty clean pocket today.
Yeah. I don't know. A lot of it is, you take what they give you. They went, to me, this is a team that you could run on. So I've got no problem. Anytime they called a run, I'm like, let's go back and look at the stats here. Georgia rushed it 37 times for 141 yards. Long rushes of 23 yards, 17 yards, 18 yards.
Pretty good.
Averaging 3-point yards a carry. Of course, you got some sacks in there, 3 different sacks, so that takes it out. So you're averaging over 4 yards a carry. I got no problem with it. And again, I don't know if it's a philosophical issue or it's just the fact that last time you tried to get really aggressive throwing the ball downfield, and there were a couple of deep shots that didn't work. They did throw it. It just didn't hit. So do you like putting yourself in 2nd and 10 or 3rd and 9?
I don't like either one of them. Can I get another option?
I was gonna say, yeah, those both sound terrible.
Hit on 1st and 10, or if you get a long run and you notice lots of times they throw on 2nd and 5 because they feel like, okay, we picked up 5 yards running the ball on 1st down. Now we got 2nd and 4 or 2nd and 5. Let's take a shot, and then.
Yeah, there weren't a lot of shots taken, even in moments where you thought. Now there was one play where
there was the one to Arian dropped.
Dude, look at what Stacey Moreland.
He dropped one today. Arian dropped one today.
Yeah.
Well, there was one play.
Arian may be the fastest thing in the stadium, but he doesn't take the ball with him. Jeez.
Hey, he had a big game last week. He was the leading guy.
Come on now.
He has caught some of those passes. I get it. He has dropped some, but he's also caught a few.
There was one play that I do remember. We did take a deep shot today, and before the snap. Now there was no one sitting next to me on my couch, but I said to everyone sitting on the couch there with me, I watched Auburn walk the safety down, and Arian was kind of split out wide, and I was like, "This is the shot play right here. They're gonna throw deep," and he did, but it was to grass, like.
Yeah, it was way overthrown.
Do you know the play I'm talking about? That was that was so.
So if you're not hitting on those, and Carson Beck didn't hit those last year. The one problem that he set the school record for completion percentage, 72-something%, ridiculous. But his Achilles heel, or the only thing he didn't do last year besides beat Alabama, was there were not a lot of huge downfield plays.
Can't stop trying though.
You can if they're ineffective, and you have something else in the playbook that is effective. Why you can keep trying it, but it's like, well, that doesn't work. Let's go with what works.
Well, it worked today.
Yeah.
And Georgia's really good at winning football games.
Yeah. I'm not complaining at all, man.
I'm not. Listen, just 20.
I'm overreacting, but I'm not complaining.
No doubt. That's what this is all about, right? Like I'm sober-minded enough to know that like 27 straight home wins. Y'all, come on.
When has that happened in Georgia's tenure?
Has to be never.
I don't think it's ever, right?
Oh, you got to look that up.
I'm not Dave McStats. I'm not good with the stat machine. I can find you in less than like a minute and a half, brother. Like I'm good with the creeping, but I can't do the stat thing.
Yeah, he's good at stalking.
Yeah, for sure. Can definitely find you quick. I found your number one, by the way. This world is not my home. Is that what's hanging up behind you?
That's pretty good, Paul.
All right, now. Hey, Raleigh, we appreciate you joining the show, man.
Man, thanks for having me, guys.
I'm going to listen to it when we get out of here, just so you know.
Let's go. Send me a DM, and I'll give you a follow back.
He's going to create a mashup for us that's going to take over UGA Stadium. I don't need you to even do it. I just need you to help me figure out the country song that would work good with that loop.
I got just the guy to talk to about making it happen.
Okay.
And we'll give you all the credit.
Oh, Minnesota scored.
$1 million idea.
Thanks y'all for having me.
Hey, Raleigh, we appreciate you, brother. Take it easy. I am going to listen to that song right when we get out of here, but not before then because Sony will be on our ass. So,
well, let me know what you think, man. Let me know. What
I
you
will,
think.
bro.
I'll try to call in later this season. I appreciate you.
All right, dude.
Awesome.
See you, man.
Washington is going to beat Michigan.
I called that. So, hey, what's funny, Roddy, is Jordan Hall. Shout out to him, Dogs247. He runs a weekly pick'em. And he's been doing it for like 6 or 7 years, and it's up to like 90 beat writers, I think. I am number 1 this year, just so you know. And I think I'm going to be number 1 after this week, too. I'm doing pretty good. I picked Washington in this game.
Final. Washington, 27-17. You picked them to win outright?
Yeah.
You lie.
I swear, yeah. I picked
you
them.
took the points. You didn't predict.
No, so it's just win or loss. It's just win or loss. There's no points. I took them to win. Yeah, I took them to win.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I am impressed.
Yeah. I had Washington. I had a couple others today. I had SMU. I had Syracuse last night. I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing all right. I do need USC to win that game though, because I did pick them, and I picked Tennessee obviously, so I need that to happen. But yeah, Tennessee, I think Arkansas's quarterback got hurt. From what I'm reading, their quarterback's out. So. But they are getting the ball back. No, they just punted. They just punted at Tennessee, 9:41 left. It's going to be tough for them without that quarterback.
I'm watching the look at all those Alabama fans in the stand.
Damn, that's a lot of them.
And here come the Vandy people. I love it. And again, shout out to Nick Saban for saying you can
When did he say this?
hard except Vandy.
When did he say this? Was this recent?
It was recent. It was like, hell, it might have been today or maybe last week, but it was recent. Somebody sent me a quote tweet of it, and I stuck it on the board. So,
Jermaine, when does the Cash 3 play? The Cash 3 tonight is going to be 3-8-1. 3-8-1. Go ahead and play it. 3-8-1. If that hits Friday, I'm retiring.
Yeah. Here, quote from Nick Saban: the only place in the SEC that's not hard to play is Vanderbilt. When you play at Vanderbilt, you have more fans than they have. Nick Saban on the Pat McAfee show.
So that was, when was that? That was 9/20/2024. So that was 2 weeks ago.
Oof.
Right
in the ass.
That's not great.
Way
That's
to jinx him. Dude, he set the place. He left. He set the place on fire.
Yeah, that's not great, Bob. Send us some helmet stickers, Roddy.
Ooh, okay. Let me put up this stat sheet here.
I got my first one going to Dirty Dan Jackson, dude.
Led the team in tackles.
Led the team in tackles. Also had the huge blocked kick, right?
Yeah.
And like I said earlier in the show, I compared his stats with Caleb Downs, and he is outplaying Caleb Downs right now. I don't know if he will the rest of the year, maybe. I mean, they've been playing against some pretty trash schools, so I would imagine he would get his stats up there. He did not. He also might not have been playing the whole game, whatever. I don't know. I don't watch Ohio State. What I do know is that Dan Jackson is outperforming Caleb Downs right now, and I'm going to give my helmet sticker on the defensive side of the ball to Dirty Dan Jackson.
All right. I want to go with C.J. Allen.
Oh, okay.
5 tackles, and he was tackled one time. And I whined about this. I literally whined throughout the broadcast with Coach Donnan because he came through on an A-gap blitz, was actually tackled by their center. They didn't call it. He was literally tackled by the man. And both sides had split, so you've got the guard tackle combo. We're picking up the 5 and the outside linebacker. The guys on this side are picking up the defensive nose who's ran on a stunt, and the outside linebacker there. And it's one-on-one. Here comes C.J. Allen up the middle. He gets tackled by the center. They don't call it. But he for not having Smile Munden in the game, C.J. Allen and Raylan Wilson, again, you held an Auburn team who has good offensive players to 13 points.
I normally don't do this, but I am going to give a second helmet sticker out on the defensive side of the ball. Tyrion Ingram-Dawkins. 2 sacks.
2 sacks.
He looks like the player we thought he was going to be, and I think he's making his impact very well known on the defensive front. He is pretty much the only guy up there that's making his presence really fully known. Tyrion Ingram-Dawkins for me on that side.
And he was a transfer possibility. A couple years ago, I heard this kid is whining and moaning and kvetching and complaining about his playing time. He is not happy. And I put him on my watch list of guys that might transfer. We're like, here's some guys to watch because here's what we heard. And then Kirby Smart earlier this year says, wow, he has really grown up. He's matured. He realized he wasn't good enough to get the playing time that he's complaining about not getting. He didn't say it in those words. But Kirby said, look, he really matured and understood he had to get better, and he has. And, 2 big sacks. So, good call.
My offensive man. I'll take a low-hanging fruit. I'll let you go dig into the weeds a little bit more. I'll take ETN. 2 touchdowns, 16 rushes. Also led the team in receptions with 6. Did not lead the team in receiving yards, but led them in receptions. 88 yards on the ground, 2 touchdowns. Is a absolute game changer for this Georgia offense. And if he wasn't in Athens, this would be a quite different. Even though this offense is quite different than what we've seen in the past 3 years, it would be a whole lot more different if Etienne was not on this team. Look at that article by Dash. There we go.
We have a story from Anthony Dasher. Big day for Trevor Etienne. You're right. That was he's the guy. Again, I am a huge Nate Frazier guy. I was the one that told you about him in July. I need to go look it up on the board. I'm like, this kid has only been here a month because he didn't come for spring practice. I said that one of the guys I'm hearing about a lot is Nate Frazier. Then we told you about him after the first scrimmage. We told you about him after the second scrimmage. We told you about him during fall camp. And we've been on that hype train. He gets in the Clemson game, he looks all world. So I'm for it. But at the same time, I've also said that Trevor Etienne is different. He is a step up. This is the one area that I could say Georgia unequivocally improved this year over last year. And that's not a shot against Kendall Milton, and anybody else, Kenny Mack. He's different. Georgia hasn't had a guy like him. He made some runs today that he should not have been able to get first downs or move the chains.
No.
But Trevor Etienne was the man today, so I'm all for it. But again, that's nothing against Nate Frazier. I know everybody wants to have their Ryan Williams, their freshman phenom. You can put him out there, but Trevor does it all. So let Nate Frazier learn by watching Trevor, spell Trevor when he's tired, and give him that 1-2 punch for those two guys. So,
and I think it will. I think it will progress and evolve as the year goes on. I think it will. Who you got on offense?
I'm gonna go Dylan Bell simply because he had the touchdown catch and he had some that 18-yard run too on offense. So on running the ball. So Dylan Bell, I thought this was one of his better games. It's 4 catches, 18 yards, and touchdown, but laid people out. Love watching him do what he does. And I'll give another one. Got to give one to Carson Beck, 23 of 29, 240 yards, 79% completions. 171.6 rating. 2 TDs, no interceptions. He got Georgia into the right plays. He didn't turn the ball over. He completed most of his passes by far. Again, almost an 80% completion rate. Threw for 2 TDs. You beat Auburn. Kirby's now 9-1, and 2 of those wins are by Carson Beck.
Yeah, it's not bad for the El Capitan. Speaking of just going final, Minnesota knocks off 11th ranked USC 24-17. So we've had number 1 lose, we've had 11 lose, we've had 10 lose, we've had 9 lose, and we still have the potential for number 4 to lose. And Miami at number 8 is just now getting started against Cal. So this could be really, truly upset Saturday. And lucky for you Dog fans, they were not on that list of top 10 teams that fell victim this week. So Brodo Baggins, what a hell of a name. Said just join. I love the 4-1, not to Vandy. Here we go. Next week, Roddy, predict the spread. We do this. We used to do this a lot. We haven't done it so much this year.
I stopped asking because you were so good at it.
Maybe we need to get back on this because it does give me great satisfaction when I'm close. Where's that game?
31.5.
That game's in Athens, right?
Yep, Mississippi State.
31.5. That's actually a pretty decent number. Damn, I wish you wouldn't have said that, honestly, because I think that's okay. Let's do 33.5, but I think 31.5 is the actual number there. That's a lot of points, though, from this offense.
Georgia hasn't been scoring much, but Mississippi State's bad.
Mississippi State is bad. You know what? 29.5. I'm going under. 29.5.
Indy Clips at 22.
22 feels a little light. I feel like 22 is light, especially with Auburn being what it was. What did it end up being? 20, 21?
22, 21.5.
Yeah, something like that. I think it's definitely higher, but that's also a pretty hefty spread for Georgia to cover if it does. Has it come out yet? Let's see. Watch us. We're trying to talk about it right now, and it's already out.
Oh, so that's how you were so good last year. You were cheating, you said.
No. This is definitely not it. I don't know what
pulled up.
I don't know what year this is from, but it's Mississippi State. It's like basketball. Okay, never mind. Mississippi State -9. Yeah, I don't see. There's not a line out yet on it, so it'll come out tomorrow. Normally in the afternoon is when Circa's the first ones to put that out. So Patrick Garvin will be all over that over on UGA Sports. Ton of information over on UGA Sports and also here on the YouTube channel. Once we get done with this, I'm going to upload this to the site, and then I am going to go watch Hugh Freeze's press conference. I've been looking forward to this for a while. I want to see
who does he blame this week.
Yeah, I want to see the blame game get thrown around and see what comes with that. So, Rodney, anything else from you, boss?
I'm not done with my helmet stickers.
No shot, dude. No shot. Who else? Who else you got?
Colby Young, baby. He's not just a red zone threat.
Hey.
3 receptions, 51 yards, that big 27-yarder. I was very pleased with that.
You know what? I will allow it because I am a Colby Young. I think I've started that bandwagon. I'm up there on the charge. I think he needs to get more targets. He's a freak athlete. Need to get him the ball more. He led the team today, Roddy, with 51 yards.
Yeah.
I think that's a good pick.
And I'm also going to go on defense. I'm going to give one to Jalen Walker simply because on a huge 4th down stop, he was right there. And Hugh Freeze could say, well, he wasn't supposed to hand the ball off. It didn't matter.
Didn't matter. He was tackling either one of them, whichever one had the ball.
Right there at the mesh. You can ride that guy out and, make your read. Doesn't matter. He's going to drop him. He came through. And he's just getting better and better. And maybe that's cumulative over what he's done over the past few games. But I'm so excited that one of my favorite players, I don't even say a favorite player, favorite people.
Yeah.
A recruit that I really enjoyed covering, enjoy hearing from when he comes out and represents UGA, my alma mater. Jalen Walker makes all of us who, like yourself, who went to Georgia, who graduated from there, look good. This guy, if there's a Cedric Van Pran, Jalen Walker presidential ticket in 30 years, I'm going to be knocking door to door. You just love this kid, love how he represents the university, and love how he plays. And he's getting better and better each week. So Jalen Walker, just an absolute home wrecker. So
also we have a big dog bone. Yeah, big dog bone for Vanderbilt. They get a big, huge helmet.
They get all the helmet stickers. Clifton, you're right.
Yeah, they all the rest of the budget has gone to Vanderbilt. So, guys, we will have Peach State Power Hour on tomorrow night. We'll have Coach Donnan and the crew on Tuesday with UGA Sports Live. Film Don't Lie also tomorrow night. Rumors versus Facts on Monday night. And, I mean, just tons of content coming to you. We've got the complete coverage over on the website with every breakdown, coaches' comments, you name it, player interviews. And we just appreciate you guys sticking with us for over 3 hours. We love doing what we do. And shout out to the Rogue Shop, Benton & Benton, and also ASW Distillery for sponsoring the show. And before you guys head out, real quick, do us a big favor, guys. It takes 2 seconds. Hit that thumbs up button on this video. It means a ton to us. And for Ryan Abolsi, I'm Paul Meharry. This is the Postgame Overreaction show presented by UGAsports.com. We'll see you next weekend. Peace.